we'll start with just like some intros and everything. I'm gonna read off some promos and we'll get into like Niners, Dubs, all that stuff. So
all right, sounds good.
Yeah, man. And you'll see on the side too, we got like comments. You can read the comments. People will probably ask questions as we go too. So
oh yeah, love that. Look at you, man. Look at Sandeep, man. Deep dive. Let's go.
No, man, this is crazy. I'm super thankful to have you on, man. I mean,
for sure, man.
Anytime. You're my guy, man. This guy he used to get on my nerves, man, which I tell youngsters all the time. Get on somebody's nerves, dude. He's as persistent as they come, man.
He is, man. He is, sure. No, I love it.
No, it's crazy, man. Me and Bonta, people ask me, like, how do you know Bonta? I'm like, dude, I used to work at Cron 4 News up in San Francisco. And at the time, we had called on Bonta to come fill in a couple times on the sports show. And, one time the producer was like, hey, can you go, let Bonta out of the garage when he leaves? And I was like, yeah, no problem. We started walking down and it just started just like any young journalist fresh out of college would do, just started picking his brain, trying to get some game on everything. And, Bonta just offered me like a lot of advice, man. And told me to stay connected, stay tapped in. And, here we are just years later. I'd see him around at
Yahoo Sports.
Yahoo Sports.
I still talk to Brandon. Man. Those are my guys.
Really? Yeah, I still keep in touch with JP, Jason Chan.
Yep.
A couple of those guys. And then, yeah, man. But I'd see you around at like some Niner games here and there, Warrior games, obviously, like playoffs, finals.
You popped by. Was that the playoff series with the Lakers I last saw you at Chase? What was that?
No.
Or was that was a championship year?
The last one I covered was the Warriors Mavericks 2022 conference finals.
That's right. Yeah, you came by the Gay House. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man, for sure. I miss being in that environment. I was at the All-Star game on Sunday. Just randomly, one of my boys who's watching right now, Tristan, gave me a call. I was already up in the city, just catching up with some friends, and he's like, "Hey, man, we got an extra ticket. Like, you trying to go to the game?" And I was like, "Shit, why not?" And next thing you know, I was there. It was crazy, man. It was super funny. We're heading out from the game toward the end. We're waiting for some friends and. I see Mero, who the guy who hosts with Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, Kid Mero. Yeah.
Kid Mero, yeah. I see him and I'm like, oh shit, that's Mero, bro. I was like, he started to walk in my direction. I was like, I'm gonna say what's up. And as he starts getting closer to me, we make eye contact and this dude starts smiling. And I start putting my hand out to dap him up and he does the same. And I was like, yo, it's good, man. I was like, I'm a big fan of the pod. He's like, oh, thanks, man. But the way he did it, I think he thought I was like somebody else. Because he started to put his hand out to dap me up. I was like, this guy probably thought I was like Shams or somebody.
Right. you know what's funny? I saw him on the court too. And we started rapping and I thought maybe he was just out of his mind. Because he was like, yo, man, yeah. And I was like, man, how you like my city, man? Ain't no too many bumps. He goes, man, this same shit happened in Brooklyn and Manhattan, man. I feel like I'm at home with all the homies out here, man. So he was talking shit. We chopped it up for a good 2 minutes, man. I was like, hey, man, I missed the Vice City kid, Ducimero. Like, I missed the Vice City one. Once they went to, where'd they go? Showtime, I think? It was kind of, and they're beefing now, right? They're not boys.
Yeah, it's been weird because I only see him on, like, Melo's podcast now. I haven't seen him anywhere else. But I know that one's put on by, like, Wave Sports, I think, Entertainment.
Yeah.
The Melo one. Yeah, that thing's really blown up. They get a lot of good guests on that show.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like Melo on the pod. He's good.
Yeah, he's good. But you know who else is really good, man? My guy, Bonta Hill. Thank you so much for joining the program, man.
Nice segue.
I learned from the best, man. But look, man, everyone in the Bay Area here, sports fans, we all know who you are. You were just recently promoted to a full-time role, NBC Sports Bay Area as a multi-platform host. So congratulations on that, man.
Well deserved.
8 years with 95.7 the game. Can you just talk about in the beginning, man, what kind of went behind that decision and just, how you kind of got into this whole thing too, what inspired you to become a sports journalist?
Yeah. So I'll start with how I made the decision to make the jump full-time at NBC. And it's a couple simple things. It's one, rest and recovery, right? As we get older, your health, your mentals, they're very important, right? And me now having a daughter in the world who's 4 years old now, you start to think, okay, how long can I do this? 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, waking up super early, getting off super late. And so the morning show's in a great place, I think. The morning roast with Shasky and Spadoni, and it felt good to leave that behind, knowing that, hey, we built something great. They're going to be able to sustain it and elevate it, but also the opportunity to jump full-time at NBC, where I'm able to still do some of the same things and covering the Warriors, the Giants, and the 49ers, and do some digital things that I was doing in 95-70 game. And so family and health was first and foremost. The opportunity to take my daughter to school every day, to be around her a little bit more in the family. That was very, very important. Because something had to give, right? You can't sustain what I was doing, man. And I look back at it, it's like, how did I get through 4 years of that? How did I get through 4 years of getting by off 4 hours of sleep and having that energy in the morning? And so it was real what I said, with the family and everything and the health. And you get older and you're like, man, I want to live till I'm 100 too. I want to live. I want to be able to talk about some of the good times we had in the Bay Area on the sporting scene. So it was a great opportunity. It's a different world now where I'm like, wait, I'm not waking up at 4. I'm waking up at 7:30. I'm waking up at 8 o'clock. What is this life? And my prep work is done for game day at around noon, right? And I'm like, man, what's going on here? So very important to be around my family a little bit more, especially as she's young, before she moves on into the world of elementary and first grade, and she starts to forget about me. It doesn't want to be around dad as much. So that was first and foremost, and then the opportunity to challenge myself. This is a great opportunity. I wasn't a television guy as before we started this podcast. I met Sandeep just doing cron hits. I had no intention on being on television, and NBC made the mistake of thinking I'm good, and so they brought me over here full time, and here I am. But when I got into journalism, I'll finish your question, Sandeep. Journalism, I was always a sports geek, like you guys are. We live for this stuff, right? All the games. We're obsessed. We're fanatics. It's a disease, I call it. When you got to know, like probably earlier today, we're watching Pistons Celtics. We're watching Knicks Sixers. What's on league pass? Okay, I'll tune in to Kings Jazz, see what's going on with Malik Monk and the guys up there in Sacramento against Larry Market and the Jazz. We're obsessed with this stuff. So I came at a point in my life when I was 25 years old. I said, man, I need to do something. I was working these jobs. I was at UPS. I had a management role, and I got let go. And I was like, man, what am I going to do now? And I'm slaking cappuccinos and at Pete's Coffee. And I'm thinking, all right, let me try to go back to school. And I had a friend who said, man, you always carry around a sports page. Why don't you give school one more try to get into sports journalism and see where it goes? And I did just that. And my first semester back at City College of San Francisco, being on the school newspaper. And by the way, I was on the school newspaper only because I had a broadcasting class before. They're like, yeah, you can write some stories for us. And I go down to this convention in LA. It was a junior college. Was it JACC, I believe, the junior college, JCC, something. I forget the name, but it was basically a convention of journalism, like a journalism band camp. It was like band camp in American Pie. It was a journalism camp down in LA.
Yeah.
And they had these sports writers get on the bus. Like, it was like 80 of us from all throughout the state of California. And we got to cover a UCLA-Stanford softball game. And we get on this bus and we're talking sports. And there's a bunch of sports geeks. I'm like, man, I'm in heaven. We're talking boxing. We're talking football. It's a who's who. People are trying to show how much they know. And I get out there and I ask a question. And I end up coming in 5th place in this on-the-spot sports writing contest where we had to go back. We had 70 minutes to write a story, like a deadline on a newspaper, and get a story done. And I came in 5th place. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was like in journalism for like 4 months. And then at that dinner later that night, the department chair, Juan Gonzalez, was like, hey, man, I think you should be our sports editor next semester. He's like, dude, you're a go-getter. You know this stuff. People gravitate towards you. You got a good brain for this stuff. And then I got the bug, and I was like, sure, why not? And the rest is history. We started getting 4 pages of sports in the school newspaper. The Examiner started picking up some of our articles. And then it just kept going and going and going, and it kept building and building and building. And yeah, there were some tough times. There were some challenging times because early on in journalism, you're not going to make a lot of money when you get to the business. You're going to be broke, and you're going to be eating top ramen and living off those McChickens and McDoubles. And
can't confirm that.
Tacos, but I always had the vision like, man, this is somehow, some way going to pay off if I just stick with it. So it was great. Like, I get paid to cover sports, which is, we'd be doing this for free anyway. So that's, to make a long story short, that's kind of how I got into journalism and tried to pursue this career.
No, for sure, man. We're super glad that you chose that route. We're super glad that you went through the journey. Like I said, man, like, I've been listening to you on the radio for the last 5 years. And I was really sad when you made the announcement not to be on the morning roast anymore. Cause on my way to work every morning, at 6:30. Bonta and Chasky is what I listened to for the longest time. So I'm glad you took the route that you did. I'm super, super glad that you are the pre and post for the Warriors. You, Molly, and Festus, and whoever else comes on, you guys make it so much more worthwhile to watch. So we really appreciate you, man. We really appreciate
that, man. It's a lot of fun. And, and I'm still part of 95.7 The Game. I join them every Friday 9 to 10, and I'll be filling in on some shows in the future and doing that. But something had to give here. And, I appreciate people who watch the pre and post, because a lot of messages, man. That's the thing that's been overwhelming since I left, is the love, coming from you and Sandeep and the love that the Morning Roast was able to garner. There's a community, man. Like, when we first started that show, I'm like, damn, we got to go against Murph and Mac. It's going to be dicey. We had a bunch of morning shows here in 95.7 again. This may not be a great idea. And it's the mornings. How are we going to do this? And when Kate Scott took the Sixers job, and I was glad she did, because I think she's a hell of a play-by-play announcer.
For sure.
And she's a superstar, right?
Yep.
Jasky and I was like, all right, it's just us. And we decided, you know what? If we're going to go out, we're going to go out our way. There's going to be a little screaming. There's going to be a little yelling. There's going to be some back and forth. There's going to be some fanboying. There's going to be some trash talk. But if we're going to go out, let's go out our way. And when people started walking around saying, yo, I'm a roaster, I was like, damn. Like, because when you grow up watching Sports Talk, listen to the Sports Talk radio, you want those communities, right? Like Gary Ratnich had his community of listeners. Tolbert had his community. Ralph Barbieri, they had their community. All these guys had their stable of callers, and we're able to build that. And it just became a movement. And so that's why it was tough to leave, because I'm like, damn, all these roasters, man, that even to this day, man, we miss you on the roast, but we're still going to support, but I'm a roaster for life. And I'm like, man, that's what's up. And so, I miss it too, man. I do miss listening to these crazy ass callers, man, especially now with the Warriors doing better. I'm sure they're going nuts right now. But
for sure.
To be able to build that, but also to be able to build what we're building at NBC. I never thought, working with an original member of the Dream Team, Chris Mullen, the guy's poster was on my wall. So to be able to work with him and bring in Festus Ezeli and have Darrell Wright come in there, who started with us, and Zena Kata comes in, and you got KB, you got Monty, you got Dalton Johnson. I feel like we bring something good to the table, where it's a little bit of laugh, some silliness, but we also give you the insight and the breakdowns on what's going on. So a lot of people receive it well, man, and I'm blessed for that, man. Because I didn't have any TV experience, man. We're in the fourth largest market. These guys calling me to do a pre and post game show. What? Are you sure about this? This could be a complete disaster. And yet here we are in year 5, and a lot of people still enjoy what we're doing on television. So I appreciate that, man, on both sides of it. Like, the love, like I said, has been truly overwhelming over the last 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah, man. When you're in the car at 6:37 in the morning, you need somebody to wake you up, and hearing your voice along with Shasky's and just hearing you guys go back and forth. It's always been great. You need that. It's literally that morning roast, and you need that pick me up. So it's been great, man. And a lot of people here in the comments said that they miss you on the roast for sure. Big fans of yours, and people also want to know, what are you sipping on there in your cup?
I got some coffee. I got a little vanilla latte. Trust me. I don't sip and drink when I'm on air. I gotta be locked in, man. I'm locked in. I can't you off that other stuff, man.
That's the nighttime roast.
Got water. Vanilla latte. So we're not sipping any Hennessy.
No Henny in there.
It's a Wednesday, for crying out loud. A Wednesday. Plus, after the All-Star break, I probably partied more during the All-Star break than I did in the last 3 years combined. So I'm still recovering from that. All of a sudden you're like, wait, I don't have a morning show. I can stay out till 3 in the morning. What is life?
Oh man.
So just a vanilla latte, trust me.
All right. All right, man. We're gonna get into some of the stuff we want to get into here with Niners, Dubs, and all that. But let me go and give some shout outs real quick to our sponsors for this episode. Gateway Food and Liquor is a family-owned business that's been serving the entire San Jose and Bay Area community since 1989. Gateway Food and Liquor, located at 1305 North Bascom Avenue in San Jose. Anytime you guys need some brews, some wine, some spirits, stop by. That's Gateway Food and Liquor, located near Santa Clara University. And a huge shout out also to Boss Man's Pizza. Boss Man's Pizza serves both traditional and Indian style pizza. They always have games on there. The owner, Arun Singh, huge Bay Area sports fan, a Niners guy, a Dubs guy. He's also very active in the San Jose community. Check out Boss Man's Pizza. It's located on 418 West Capitol Expressway in San Jose. Thank you to our sponsors. And now let's get into what everyone came here for, man. Let's start with the 49ers because, as we know, John Lynch had a press conference today, and the 49ers are constantly in the news cycle, right? And today he talked about Brock Purdy. Negotiations for the contract extension have begun. They didn't get into details yet, but he talked about Debo. They're going to honor his trade request. They're looking at potential partners, but we know his situation's a little tricky, right, because of the effects it has on the salary cap and whatnot. CMC is healthy and progressing. Trent Williams is going to be back, so that's all great. But let's start with Purdy, man.
Yeah.
What do you think the market is going to be like for his contract? Is he getting top dollar, or is he getting more kind of like the average of like the top 5 to 10 guys? Where do you think he kind of comes in at?
Well, I think he's going to get paid a lot of money, right? That's first and foremost, right? He's going to get the bag. The Brinks Trump is going to back up, like Richard Sherman said, and it's going to go beep beep. And he's going to drop off a pile of money on his front steps. So he's going to get paid. Now, what does it look like? How is the contract structured? I'll go back to Jimmy Garoppolo, where his contract was structured in a way to where the 49ers had an opt-out. What was it? Every April or whatnot. There was a specific date. I don't remember it, but they had an opt-out to where they could get out of the deal and go search for another quarterback. I think we may see something similar, if I'm not mistaken, with Parag Marate, where it may be a 2 to 3 year deal. It may be a 5-year deal, but it may be opt-outs after the second year of the contract. So what does the signing bonus look like? And what is it per money? What is the annual average? Is it going to be 50 million, 55 million? Is it going to be front loaded with a bunch of salary cap? Or are they going to structure it in a way to where they can still make moves in the future? That I don't know. I know he's going to get paid a lot of money. And what's the alternative, right? You want to go to Sam Darnold? I'd rather have Brock Purdy.
Hell
right?
no, yeah.
Is it realistic that Matthew Stafford from the LA Rams is going to get traded to the 49ers? The Rams and Niners doing business, division rivals. No, that's not happening.
They'll send him to Siberia before they send him to the 49ers.
Absolutely. Or the Niners would have to give him like 5 first-round picks.
Something ridiculous.
Sure, why not? But they're going to re-sign Brock Purdy, and I think they should re-sign Brock Purdy. I saw a lot from him last season. The arm got tired and the shoulder. That is a concern, right? I think they're going to front-load the contract, and they're going to structure it in a way that enables them to make future moves to build off of this roster, and they're going to protect themselves from potential opt-outs in the future. I could really see them doing that here. But in terms of like what it's going to look like, 7 years, $200 million, 4 years, $220 million, that I don't know. And I'm very eager to see how they structure it. But I think that's what they're working through right now when it comes to Brock Purdy. And you know what? They should re-sign him again. You get Trent Williams back. He's going to be healthy, hopefully. You build that offensive line. You protect them. Give them another weapon or two, because let's be real. Last year they had wide receivers who couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. They couldn't get off the press man. We know how the Super Bowl went against the Kansas City Chiefs when nobody could get open off the line of scrimmage. And so teams just daring playing man defense against the 49ers, and then you don't have a Christian McCaffrey. Purdy's fine. He's a top 10 to top 12 quarterback. Let's not overthink it. There's the golden four, right? There's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Everybody else, you don't know what you're going to get on a daily basis, right? Jalen Hurts, he's got a lot of assets around him. You need assets. You need talent around you. So I think they're going to make the right move in re-signing Brock Purdy. He'll come back and have a strong year. But in terms of how the contract's structured, I could see them front-loading the deal with having opt-outs after year 2 or year 3 to protect themselves, especially when he has that elbow and that shoulder injury where you just don't know. Like you see some of those deep passes last year where he's underthrowing them. That is a concern, right? You got to be able to hit that deep shot here and there. So, but he's the right quarterback for this team. There's no doubt about that.
No, for sure. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that, he was fatigued toward the end of the season. We could all see it. I think the injury that he sustained in the middle of the season, whatever it was with his throwing shoulder against the Seahawks, it definitely affected him for the rest of the season after that. So, and it showed, right? They slid and they kept sliding, and it wasn't just Purdy's fault. It was just the entire offensive line was trash. The defensive line was trash.
Well, you make a great point real quick. That offensive line, right? On the morning rush, we'd argue like, oh man, Purdy can't elevate his teammates. We just saw in the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs against Philadelphia. Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of people think is the greatest quarterback ever. I'm not ready to go there yet. He's a great player, no doubt. He could do nothing because his offensive line could not protect him. The great Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowl losses, when his protection breaks down, he looks mortal. He looks just like any other quarterback who doesn't get protection there. And one thing, too, when I think about the season last year, other than Buffalo, Green Bay, they had Brandon Allen playing. I get it. You get blown out. That's the one blowout, right? against
everything else
Buffalo
was close.
Bills. Every other game, Thursday night against the Rams, you lose 12-6. It comes down, Purdy throws a pick in the fourth quarter. The first game
Debo dropped ball too.
Right, drop ball. Like Ronnie Bell dropped the pass in week 3 or whatever it was against the Rams. The Seahawks, Smith comes down the field on the final drive and steals that football game. They lost. The Arizona Cardinals goes down the field with James Conner. It's still a football game. You don't have your kicker, Jake Booty, so you got to go for it on fourth down. So they were in a lot of football games, which tells me that they're close to being back to the team that they've been over the past 6 years under Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, that's four games right there you mentioned, right? Those are 4 games that they should have won, that they had won, and they just couldn't finish. And sometimes it was, Purdy maybe had some bad decisions, made some bad throws. Then you mentioned Ronnie Bell drop, the Debo drop, right? Defense couldn't get stopped. So there were just a lot of factors with this team. But like you said, the biggest areas of need are going to be, 1, the offensive line, and then 2, I think we can all say the defensive line, right? And we've seen guys throwing out there like Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa is expected to become a free agent. Where do you think they should go in terms of the defensive line? Because Nick Bosa, he did regress a little bit last season. Right. I expect him to bounce back this year, but they need a solid number 2 guy. Yeah. Leonard Floyd flashed that a little bit toward the end of the season, but we need a consistent number 2 pass rusher next to Bosa. Or could you look at that Eagles front, man, on the defensive side? Yeah. They got dogs, man. They were rushing for the whole game against the Chiefs, and they got to him so many times.
Man, it's just like 2019, right? With the 49ers, where they rushed forward the whole time. They had a great defense. Yep. D Ford was healthy that year for the most part. DeForest Buckner, Armstead in the middle, Nick Bosa. Boom, you're rushing forward. You don't have to blitz. They should have won the game. You're leading 20-10 with 7 minutes left in the Super Bowl. Philadelphia, you make a great point, Sandy. Rushing forward the entire game, not blitzing. That is so beneficial to the secondary. All of a sudden, the secondary can cover. The linebackers can roam the middle of the field, sideline to sideline. Your defense is going to be so much better. And Vic Fangio being the defensive coordinator, remember when he was the D coordinator with the 49ers, and they had Olin Smith and Ahmed Brooks and Sapuaga in the middle, and they had Ray McDonald. They did not need to blitz that season, and they were dominant. They were dominant. So, yes, they need to fix the defensive line, and that's one thing this regime hasn't done well is draft defensive linemen. Let's face it. Nick Bosa was a slam dunk. You could have gone Nick Bosa, Quentin Williams, and you would have been fine. Yeah. But they whipped on Ken Law, right? They did draft DJ Jones in the middle round. DJ Jones was good, but they've had to make a lot of trades. And even those haven't worked out. Randy Gregory, Chase Young, he worked for a little bit, right? Yeah. Martin Key was okay for the 49ers, but they've got to get it right inside. They whipped in free agency on Javon Hargrave. It was a massive whiff. Yeah. Massive. Incredibly. And in the scheme, I'm not a big fan of the wide 9 because if you don't have a speed rusher opposite of Nick Bosa, it's going to take very long to get to the quarterback. You got Nick Bosa, who's a power rusher. He's lined up so far outside the tackle. It takes him about 4 seconds to get the quarterback, and the quarterbacks are getting the ball out these days in 2.5 seconds or less. Yeah. So I would like to see a scheme change, but you're right. They need to invest in that defensive line. They need rushers. They need pass rushers so bad up front. So they've had to work on the trenches. And I think Philadelphia laid the blueprint out. And heck, when we watch these Super Bowls, right, whether it's Tampa Bay winning with Tom Brady, whether it's Kansas City winning with Chris Jones and Frank Clark, the trenches matter in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. When the weather gets cold and all of a sudden you got to run the ball, you got to get short yardage, you're in short yardage situations, or you got a 3rd and 7, that team is blitzing, you got to fix the trenches here. So there's no doubt defensive line, offensive line, they've got to invest heavily into that because they're close, but they got to shore up the front. And that's there's no doubt about it. They've got to do a better job at drafting defensive linemen and identifying defensive linemen who could complement Nick Bosa, but also help Nick Bosa complement these other guys. So they've got to do a great job there in the front. And right now, if nobody has confidence in John Lynch in doing that, I get it because they haven't been great in that department and bringing in defensive linemen to complement Nick Bosa.
Yeah, for sure. And, we've been talking so much about the defense and obviously the offensive line, but, let's get more into like the weapons, that the Niners currently do have on the roster and what they potentially could get, in free agency and through the draft. Obviously we know Debo wants out. If he's cut before March 22nd, they can open up $5 million in cap space. But if he's traded before June 1st, they lose $16 million in cap space. Teams are calling about Brandon Ayuk. We don't know what the status is on Christian McCaffrey. You have pretty much 2 healthy wide receivers in Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall on the squad that could be starters next season. But but I wouldn't feel comfortable, obviously. So what do you think the Niners need to do to shore up, the offensive side of the ball in terms of weapons?
Well, let's start with McCaffrey. You need to protect yourself with McCaffrey. Coming off an Achilles injury, and he didn't get the surgery on it, so who knows if it just goes, right? It could go in any minute. Who knows? You got to protect yourself and get a running back who can complement him. And just for precaution reasons, if he goes down, I need a guy who can be that guy, who could be a 3-down back, who could do things not exactly like Christian McCaffrey, but you need something similar, right? You need a speed guy. And that's the overall thing, I think, offensively, which you're alluding to. They need more speed offensively. They felt like one of the slowest teams in the league last year.
I think Grendo got some wheels on him, though.
Who? Garendo? Oh, I like Garendo.
Yeah.
But is he an every down back? I don't know. Is he a guy can 10 to 12 carries a game? I do like Garendo. He's tough, but heck, the first day of training camp, he got hurt. He busted his hamstring, was out for a while. So he's dealt with injuries already his rookie season. Jordan Mason has dealt with injuries, and I like Mason. I like him a lot, but running backs get banged up. So
he might be gone too. I feel like someone might pay him.
He might be gone.
He's getting money,
Yeah, he's getting money. He's a tough. I mean, he doesn't go down, right? I mean, he breaks tackles. He was at one point. He was leading the league in rushing and breaking all these tackles. It's like, man, Jordan Mason's a dude, but he gets hurt. He gets banged up, and he might not be there, as you alluded to. So I just think overall, offensively, when it comes to the skill set positions, you got to get faster. I need a guy who could take the top off the defense, or at least be a threat. When a defense is allowed to play within a 15-yard box in, we're not worried about them throwing over the top because they have nobody to throw it over the top to. That's a problem. So you got to figure out, and I'm not saying pay T. Higgins because that's going to cost a lot of money. And what does it look like paying T. Higgins after you paid for Brandon Ayuk? And T. Higgins has dealt with injuries throughout the course of his career in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Overall, they need to get faster. There's no doubt. Or if you're a run-first team, you know what? Your young man, the tight end out of Penn State, Tyler Warren. I wouldn't mind him getting the best available player because you got 7 rounds of picks, right? Mm-hmm. You have to get faster though overall. I think team speed is a problem offensively. So we don't know what Ayuk's going to look like coming off the injury. Obviously, Debo, his time is up. And you know what? Debo didn't have a great year. And it started in that Super Bowl loss in Kansas City where he couldn't get off a press man and couldn't get open. The lack of separation on the outside is costing this team. And when you look at Philadelphia, you look at Puka Nacua down in L.A., you look at Green Bay and their wide receivers. You look at, the Buffalo Bills and all their skill set. They got speed everywhere. You need speed offensively. So whether it's wide receiver, running backs, you got to build off that team speed. You have to improve the team speed offensively to be a threat because they didn't have a lot of explosives last year. It felt like, the numbers will say they had explosive plays, but did it really feel explosive last season?
No.
It didn't really feel explosive. It felt a bit stale. So I need some more speed offensively, whether that's at wide receiver, tight end, or running back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, as much as the Eagles can be annoying, I think it was TJ Gardner-Johnson that him and Debo were going back and forth for a bit. And he said Debo's he's just a big running back, right? And he was alluding to the fact that Debo's not a guy who can create separation, is not going to beat you with his speed. And it's like, when I saw him, like, yeah, there's truth to that, man. I mean, we know Debo's game, right? He's yards after catch guy. He can break 20 tackles and rip off big explosive runs. And that's what he's been known for with the Niners. And you could argue he's maybe one of one in the NFL, but he's kind of become predictable, right? And that's why the Niners kind of shocked us last year in the first round when they drafted a wide receiver. I think a lot of us were thinking, all right, they're going to go corner here maybe or a safety, right? Cooper DeJean was a guy that was connected to the Niners. And look, I mean, ended up having a great season, but that's why they went pure soul because they like what they saw to him out of Florida, right? I mean, athletic guy. I think he has like a 35, 40-inch vertical, can get open. And we saw some flashes of that toward the end of the season with Ricky.
I was very impressed with Ricky towards the tail end. Even that Tampa Bay game when he had to catch a run. 46. I was like, damn, Ricky's fast.
He is.
Look at him, man. And even this Ricky Pearsall pick, and I think he's going to be a good player, but you took him ahead of Keon Coleman. You took him ahead of Ladd McConkey. You took him ahead of Xavier Legette in Carolina. Ladd McConkey had a hell of a season with the Chargers. I'm like,
he did.
That's the type of player Brock Purdy needs, somebody who's in and out. But Pearsall got off to such a rough start with the hamstrings and the shoulder injury, and of course getting shot down at Union Square. What a tumultuous start to his rookie season, right?
Only in the Bay Area, right?
Right, welcome to the Bay, right? Man. But he came on. So, when they did draft Ricky Pearsall, though, I thought, okay, for sure, Ayuk or Debo's getting moved, and they didn't move him. And that led into Brandon Ayuk holding out of training camp or holding in the training camp and not practicing. And I just thought that situation right there, they should have nipped that in the bud. He wanted to sign early, either get it done then or trade him at the draft and move on. But it lingered into the offseason. So, yeah, it was a shocker that they took Pearsall and didn't move. Like, I was not so much shocked that they took Pearsall, but they took Pearsall without moving under these guys. It was like,
I know.
Ayuk, where's he going to play? Rookies don't really play under Kyle Shanahan. It takes them a while to learn the system. So it was a strange draft from that perspective. But, yeah, Deebo's time, look, last year was a rough year for him. Being a captain, he didn't act like a captain. He didn't act like a leader. Mm-hmm. Moping on Twitter, that's not leadership right there. And I think some of the players in that team, without saying it, were kind of alluding to Deebo saying, yeah, there's a lack of leadership in here. There's a lack of accountability in this building. And when you're tweeting saying, hey, it's not me, it's just me not getting the ball. Well, I'm at every game. I'm looking at you running routes, and I'm saying, well, you can't get the ball because you're covered. You're not getting open. So that time has come up. And look, Deebo's been a great 49er. I don't want to throw any shade at him. Great moments. But the leave like he did, the request to trade after that season, it does leave a sour taste in a lot of our mouths.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, is that he's done this the second time, right? The first time was obviously when, the contract negotiations were going on, and, the Niners knew at that time he was the most valuable piece on offense. This was before Brandon Ayuk, broke out. This is before they got Christian McCaffrey that same season that they paid Deebo Samuel, and it was after his breakout season. So you're thinking you can't lose Deebo at that point. Fast forward 3 years later, and he's become expendable on this Niners team, and it's just crazy. And it tells you how fast the NFL changes in just like a heartbeat, right?
Oh, it evolves quickly, and you will get left behind. So it is kind of I think it's a blessing in disguise for the 49ers that have to take that step back and reevaluate everything and sit back and watch the playoffs and get a head start on some of these teams that were in the playoffs. I think it'll do them some good. And I'm looking forward to Shanahan 2.0, but you're right, man. The jet sweeps didn't work for a couple years, right, with Deebo Samuel. They snipped that out. And once you got McCaffrey, it's kind of redundant.
Yeah, exactly. They're similar. They're not the same. Obviously, we know Christian McCaffrey's on another level, right, in terms of his playmaking and what he does. But it is kind of redundant having both those guys out there. And like you said at the beginning of this discussion, we saw it in the Super Bowl, right? It hampered them when Ayuk was the only guy that was able to get open, and Deebo couldn't because they had those guys on KC in their secondary, Trent McDuffie and I forgot the guy's name.
L'Jarius
Sneed. Yeah. Those guys were clamps, man, and Deebo just couldn't shake them, But, speaking on Ayuk real quick, man, there was reports yesterday from Diana Rossini from The Athletic that teams are interested in, and that kind of caught me off guard. Did you see that? And
I did.
Think they would actually consider trading him?
Well, what would the dead cap hit be if you did trade him? Because I think that was a lot of money, right? Well, if I'm not mistaken, I looked at it. We had a Warriors game yesterday.
They're paying him $60 million, I think, in a couple of weeks here, guaranteed. They're giving him a check for $60 million because that's how his contract was structured for the season.
Right.
So his cap hit might be low.
I think the cap hit's like $11 million this year, so it's not that bad.
Right.
Not that bad.
Because he got 23, I think, signing bonus, and then I think he's due like the rest of the 43 or 44 within the next month. Yeah.
It's something I would explore. If it is true. Diana Rossini's tweeted it out, and I trust her. She's credible.
Oh yeah.
I was surprised no one asked Lynch about it today in the presser.
That's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
That's a little disappointing.
I was waiting to see something about that because they asked him about Deebo, McCaffrey, Purdy, everyone. I'm like, no one's gonna ask him about this.
Yeah, that is a little disappointing. And then with a report like that, and considering how that situation kind of hijacked the beginning of the season with Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers front office, it is disappointing nobody asked about that. But if teams are interested, then I wonder what the compensation would be for a guy like that coming off a gruesome injury that he did. I think Ayuk's a hell of a player. I really do. I wish they would have got the deal done earlier, and then all of a sudden he's holding out. So all of a sudden fans are like, well, play for the $14 million. Well, in the NFL, we saw that he gets hurt. He's not getting the money that he's receiving in a couple of weeks, right? Now, it burns the organization. I get that. But in the NFL, I'm kind of pro player. I'm all for players getting their bag in the NFL because on any given play, your season could be over. Hell, your career could be over. I mean, it could happen just like that. So if teams are interested in Brandon Ayuk, what is the compensation? What is the compensation? if I want to get faster outside, and I don't know how Brandon Ayuk's going to return from this injury, what's the compensation look like for Brandon Ayuk? It's something that I think John Lynch and company are exploring. If it is true that these rumors that teams are interested in Brandon Ayuk, is it Pittsburgh again? Is it the Commanders with Jayden Daniels, whose boys are Brandon Ayuk? What's the compensation look like? I think that's something the Niners need to listen to, and I think John Lynch will listen to it because he always picks up the phone to listen to what's going on. So if that report is true and you're moving off of Debo and Brandon Ayuk and you're starting from scratch with Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, you could do a lot worse. And you could build off of those two guys and then build that and get a speedy guy like we were just discussing, where a guy can take you over the top, where you got Pearsall as your possession receiver. He could do all the in and out stuff, the quick outs and all that stuff from the slot. You got Juwan Jennings as a big possession receiver who's just a dog. He's going to fight for the football. And then you go get me somebody who's like, oh, this guy's scaring the hell out of safeties. Now all of a sudden you got to play two high safeties and you got to guard 40 yards down the field. Now some people might say, well, can Brock Purdy get it there? Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. But I would be open to it. I would be open to trading Brandon Ayuk if teams are interested, depending on the compensation. And if the cap hit is only $11 million and the cap just went up.
Yeah, and I think trading Ayuk and Debo is going to change a lot, right? Because with just Debo, we know the salary cap hit is still going to be there, which is going to be tough. But now if Ayuk's also on the way out, it changes a lot, right, for this team. And I don't know, like what if – I was talking to a friend about this the other day, but what if they traded Debo to the Steelers and you get George Pickens back? There's your deep threat right there. Woo. I'm pretty sure he wants out of Pittsburgh too. It seems like it's been a kind of a sticky relationship over there, right, with the Steelers. So
look, he's a character.
Yeah.
He can ball.
Yeah.
He can ball, man. If it's a 1-for-1 and you got Pickens out there in Shanahan's system, it's interesting. It makes me think, though. I'd be willing to do that. I would be willing to do that. I would be willing to shake it up because I don't know what Brandon Ayuk's going to look like after this injury.
Yeah.
Like, like this knee injury was, what did he tear, the ACL, the MCL?
And MCL, yeah, both.
So I don't know where's his speed going to be at? Is he going to be able to get out of his breaks? Is he going to have setbacks? Is he going to be ready for training camp? We don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1 of the regular season. So if somebody's willing to take on that contract and give up draft compensation or a player, I think it behooves the 49ers to pick up the phone and listen to those conversations.
Yeah, I think, like you said, you have to at least listen, right?
Yep.
You're not looking to trade him.
Right.
But hey, if someone's like, we'll give you a 3rd and a 5th for Brandon Ayuk, a couple picks like that in this upcoming draft, which is very stacked draft too.
Oh,
but, you want to listen. And hey, who was interested in Brandon Ayuk before was the Cleveland Browns. And maybe you could try to figure out some kind of a swap where you get Myles Garrett back in that deal.
Yeah, that would be wishful thinking, right? That'd be with Cleveland Browns.
Take Ayuk in our first round pick.
He's not training. I love Myles Garrett. Trust me. You can have Debo and Brandon Ayuk for Myles Garrett. I'll figure out the rest later. That's why I pay Shanahan to figure out the offense. I'll pay those dudes. I'll worry about the wide receivers later. Just give me Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa, and then we can talk about the offense a little bit later. But, Cleveland, New England, Pittsburgh, the Commanders, they're all rumored to be in after Brandon Ayuk. So maybe they'll pick up the phone and revisit those conversations. If that is true, what Diana Rossini is saying. So I think everything's on the table for this football team. You got to shake it up. Seattle's getting better. Arizona's getting better. Who knows what the hell the Rams are going to do here? You got to stick with the times. And there's a team out in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who's not going anywhere. So you got to have them in mind if you want to get back to the Super Bowl, because it looks like the Super Bowl is going to have to run through Philadelphia for the foreseeable future with all their team-friendly deals with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley and that great offensive line. They're not going anywhere. So what is the quickest path to be able to compete with Philadelphia? I think you got to take – everything's on the table with the 49ers, and I think that's how they operate every single season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We have a couple questions here, and then we'll move on shortly to some NBA talk. But how do you feel about Jake Moody? The Niners said today that they still believe in this guy. What do you think, man? Is it time to move on? Do you have kicker competition, or is it just let's get the next guy in here?
Kicker competition. Bring in another kicker. Push this guy because you did spend a third round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't remind me.
But you know what? Nobody's going to give him the benefit of the doubt because of what happened in the Super Bowl, right? Despite him making 2 50-plus yard field goals, he did miss the extra point, right? I think you bring in another kicker, push this guy because he's got a powerful leg, man.
Yeah, he's got a leg. He's got a huge leg.
Huge leg. And he did dislocate. I mean, he sprained his ankle. And probably rushed back to help this football team and was never right. And just be kind of fishing it out, talking to former kickers and holders or whatnot. And I know there's been videos about the holder not holding the ball right, putting the laces out, bringing another kicker, compete, and let the best man win. Let the best man win. But don't cut him right now. Bring him back for training camp, but make sure you bring another kicker or two to push this guy and see what it do. Now, the first kick he missed in the regular season, you better have somebody on speed dial to replace him.
If he misses in the preseason, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
I mean,
he's done.
He made this a kick at training camp, and people will find the video, be like, "Yep, that's it. Gotta go." But
Grant Cohn is gonna post that for sure.
Yep.
All right, one last thing before we move on to NBA. What do you think about the Aaron Rodgers to the Rams rumors? There's been, he wants to go to the West Coast. He said he has some respect for Sean McVay, and he would also bring Devontae Adams with him. You think this is just some smoke, or you think there's some truth to it?
Oh, I think there's some truth. I think the Rams are fishing. They're fishing, especially with the Matthew Stafford and Las Vegas Raiders rumors that is picking up steam. According to everybody out in Las Vegas, this is totally a Rams move to bring in Aaron Rodgers, to bring in Devontae Adams, and you got Kyron Williams, you got Blake Corum in the backfield. You still got Puka Nacua. I don't think Aaron Rodgers can move anymore. And I hope that Shanahan's not looking at Aaron Rodgers, because I do think he's getting a little older. Not everybody can be Tom Brady, Yeah. So if the Rams want to go ahead and go that route, be my guest. But I wouldn't fear the Rams at all. The Niners have had Rodgers' number for many, many years. They beat up on Aaron Rodgers. You put some pressure on him, and he turns into a mortal coil. Now, Devontae Adams is a problem, and that would scare me a little bit. Puka and Devontae, that's nasty. Yeah, that is nasty. So, but that doesn't scare me. Aaron Rodgers doesn't scare me no more. And do the Rams really want to go that route? You want to move on from Matthew Stafford and go to Aaron Rodgers' route? Be my guest.
I think it's a slight step up. I mean, he is pretty much on the verge of retirement. We know he's been considering it. Stafford didn't have a great season last year. He only threw for 20 touchdowns. No. I think he had maybe close to like 9-10 interceptions. So he can still play at a good level. But, if you move off of Stafford and you go to Rodgers, even on a one-year deal, it gives you a chance to compete. And, it's a team that made the playoffs, so you never know. Yeah,
you never know. I mean, look, Stafford does have he has a turnover bug. There's no doubt. Philadelphia, you fumble, you blow it. Kyron was fumbled too in that game. It's a lot, man. It is a lot to take in, because now all of a sudden you got this locker room. A lot of those guys looked up to Matthew Stafford. That locker room dynamic is very important. So then how does Puka thrive with Aaron Rodgers? I think he'll thrive. Rodgers didn't lose much of that arm strength, but it was such a disaster in New York City. And he got everything he wanted. He got Nathaniel Hackett as his OC, right? Yeah. He got Devontae Adams. He had Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I mean, what else do you want? So the Rams have to ask themselves, we could bring them in, but Sean McVay has to know there's going to be some tough conversation with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is going to want to do what he wants to do at times, and he'll just take over and make it about himself. And you got the podcast itis where he's going on with Pat McAfee every single week, and
every Monday, Tuesday, he's going to be on there bitching about something.
That's such an LA move, though. That's what they want. They're all about that life. So
they crave it.
Is it a step up? Maybe. But I personally, if the Niners do what they do, I'm not afraid of Aaron Rodgers. Like I don't, whatever.
I think they should just start Jimmy G next season. I think that's the move.
nice little 20 touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
Oh man, and some fumbles.
Oh yeah,
and some Jimmy no throws where
some hospital balls.
Right, some hospital balls, medicine balls.
Coming in. Yeah.
I guarantee you, Puka doesn't want that.
No way. There is no way he's gonna want that for sure.
Hey, Bonta, our guy Adam Sturge said, what's up from Yahoo Sports representing. Remember Big Sturge over there.
Oh, Adam, man. I know he's getting ready for baseball to rip the Giants for having Mike Yastrzemski past 6, man. Hey, listen, Adam, chill off the baseball. It's spring training, dude. The big boys, when they play 9, wake me up. Relax off the baseball. What up, Adam? He's passionate as well. I know he is. He's dead. He lives and dies with the Niners, Warriors, and Giants, man. So hopefully your blood pressure's down right now, Adam.
It probably is down because right now, your Golden State Warriors, 6-1 with Jimmy Butler. We saw all the drama down there in South Beach. It was a bunch of nothing because we know when it comes to Jimmy Butler on the basketball court, what he brings to any team he's on. So 6-1 start, man. They got 4 wins in a row. What do you like about what you're seeing from Jimmy alongside Steph and, in this Warrior system?
Yeah, 4 in a row. They've won 4 in a row for the first time since November the 4th.
Sheesh.
They finally won 3 in a row on Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks for the first time since November the 15th. So what I love about Jimmy is a great balance, right? He's not going to rush the offense. He's not even attempting I think he's averaging he's attempting a 3, maybe a 3.5 per game as a member of the Golden State Warriors, but he's averaging at least 9 free throw attempts per game with the Dubs. So that's one thing. He's flipped the free throws. You think about points off turnovers, right? This guy points off turnovers. The points off turnovers have flipped. Since Jimmy's been here, the Warriors are plus 117 when it comes to points off turnovers. Now, you're playing some bad teams. I want to, keep it real here. You play Chicago. You play Dallas without anybody. You play the Charlotte Hornets, who just made history. I think the Hornets just lost their last 3 games by 131 points, which is the worst in NBA history. When you think about a 3-game stretch, it's insane, right? But I do like the fact that Jimmy gives them balance. And he's elevating others. Brandon Fajimski, who's already playing well before Jimmy came back, became a member of the Golden State Warriors. Potts is hooping, averaging over 14, 5, and 5. And now he's shooting 37% from 3 since he's returned from injury, that right abdominal injury. Moses Moody has scored in double figures in 16 of the last 18 games. So all of a sudden they're feeling good because they're getting wide open shots and they're able to be decisive. What do you know? Draymond Green is scoring the basketball. He had 15 the other night against Charlotte. You see 13. You see him being aggressive offensively. And, of course, Steph has become more efficient ever since Jimmy's come aboard. Since Jimmy's come aboard, Steph is averaging 29, and he's shooting nearly 50% from the floor and nearly 40% from 3. So it's helped Steph out. So Jimmy's helped on both ends of the floor, being a weak side defender, being a strong individual defender. You see possessions where he's guarding 4 dudes, switching, over communicating. So it was the right move at the right time. As Steve Kerr said the other day, look, Wiggins has been playing phenomenal, playing good basketball for the Warriors. Good basketball. But they needed a jolt. They needed something different. And Jimmy being that alpha, as you mentioned, Sandeep, of being a guy in Miami who could carry a team. Because we know playoff Jimmy is a different Jimmy. He'll go from 17 to 27 just like that. And he'll start shooting threes. And all of a sudden, he's starting taking the last shot. So I love everything about the Jimmy move. I'm still skeptical in terms of, let me see him when they play the New York Knicks next week. Let me see him when they play the Pistons on March 8th and Kay Cunningham and company who are playing really well. Let me see him when they play Denver, when they play the Lakers again. Because there's certain matchups I still want to see him against before I buy all the way in. And then, of course, the X factor, the ultimate X factor is what is Jonathan Kuminga bringing to the table when he comes back? And what I heard yesterday, Jonathan Kuminga looks great. He scrimmaged. I heard he looks phenomenal. He looks better than what he did when he injured his right ankle. So that
you talking about practice?
Talking about practice? I'm talking about practice, man. I'm talking about practice, man. Hey, they said he looks great, man. The report I got yesterday is like, yo, he is balling right now. So, look, I like where he's at right now. I like where the Warriors are at right now. There's no doubt they needed to make this move for Jimmy Butler because think about this too, fellas. Their free throw shooting was awful.
Terrible.
Dead last in the league.
Yeah.
And free throw attempts and free throws made and the percentage. Since Jimmy's come aboard, they're 10th in free throw attempts and their percentage is in the top 10. So he's brought a lot to the table. And we'll see how it works. I know everybody's worried about the contract and whether or not he's going to start some stuff. I'm not worried about that right now. Right now, he's happy. The Warriors are playing with joy again, and they're playing well, and they look like a dangerous team in the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah, and, people will say, they've played not superior competition, obviously, right? But they're blowing out teams that they're supposed to blow out. They're doing what they were doing at the beginning of the season. They're doing what they did during the dynasty years, right? Is you take care of business and you sit the fourth quarters. And that's what I like about the team and the dynamic right now is that they're finally putting teams away. And we haven't seen that all season. And, I was a little bit skeptical. I'm not going to lie to you. I was pretty down when we missed out on Kevin Durant. Sandeep knows I was bitching in the group chat all day that day when KD said he wasn't coming to the Warriors. And, the next day when I found out that Jimmy was coming to the Dubs, definitely skeptical, but I was like, they finally did something and they finally made a decision. And Mike Dunleavy said the same thing. He's like, we finally made a decision on what we want to do, which is we picked a path. We're going to roll with these guys. We're going to pay Jimmy. We're going to go with the veteran route and all the ancillary pieces that comes with it. So it felt really good that they finally stopped doing this 2 timelines shit, right? Like it was really, it's really annoying. Like when they were doing that, obviously, but they kept their young core. They developed Moody, they developed Kuminga, they developed Pajemski, right?
Right.
I still feel like there's going to be a move out there next season that they use these guys for. But I think they picked a path, and they're going to go with the veteran path in my most humble opinion, but we'll see.
Well, you think about it, you think about what's going on. You mentioned the blogs, right? You control what you control, which is how you play. You can't control who your opponents are. So they've beaten teams by at least 24 points over the last 3 games. Yep. That's their best stretch since 2016 when they blew teams out by 24 in 3 straight games. So that's phenomenal. But you control what you control, which is how you play, and they're playing good basketball. And they're not even shooting the 3 ball well right now. They're not shooting the 3 as well at all outside of Stephen Curry. So look, the 2 timeline thing I think is a little overblown because you look at some title teams, they have a youngster or 2. Teams are always looking for the future, an eye on the future. And I get they're trying to do what the Spurs did in their last championship run, where they had Kawhi and Danny Green and Patty Mills and Tiago Splitter or whatnot. But they're still dependent on Moses Moody, Brandon Pajemski, and Jonathan Kuminga, who kind of represent that whole 2 timeline thing. TJD is still a factor. How about Quentin Post, who's a rookie? He's played big minutes for the Warriors.
He's been a big surprise.
Revelation.
Revelation, right? At stretch 5, where we see him against the Bucks, 3 straight threes in the 4th quarter. We see him against the Sacramento Kings, boom, boom, 2 straight threes in the 2nd quarter. And they've been able to extend their leads when Stephen Curry goes to the bench. So they have been a bit dependent on these youngsters to complement these old guys and Steph, Dre, and Jimmy. So I still think you need some youth. And Steve Kerr said it. Look, it's a young man's game. It's a young man's game. Why do you think Luka's dominant right now? Why do you think SGA is dominant right now? So the 2 timeline thing I think is a little overblown. And I know everybody runs with it. But the Warriors are they've been trying to big game hunt for a while now. Paul George. Thank God they dodged that bullet. Never wanted him.
Imagine where would you guys be right now if that Paul George deal had happened?
I wouldn't be here, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. Y'all wouldn't want me.
Oh my God.
Larry Markkinen, and Kevin Durant. Look, in a way, it feels like Jimmy may be a better fit for this current roster.
Yes.
Kevin Durant's a hell of a player. It looks different, though. It looks a bit different. Jimmy may have given them what they needed. So I'm glad they did do something. Jimmy was on their radar for quite some time. I do know that. Mike Dunleavy obviously played with Jimmy back in Chicago, so he knows Jimmy pretty well. And they've been trying to make moves. Like, that's the whole thing with the fan base. It's like, everybody just chill for a second. Like Steph said, the Twitter fingers. We're going to do what we do. Just shut up and put down the Twitter fingers, because they've been trying to make moves. And look, I know everybody mocks Joe Lacob and everybody when they say trades are hard. But Grant Liffman, who used to be here at NBC Sports Bay Area working on the Warriors Outsiders, he's now in the Atlanta Hawks front office. They came to town this year, and the first thing he said to me goes, Bonta, when I took this job, I did not realize how hard it was to negotiate deals and trades. He told me they were after a player for 17 months before they got him. 17 months. That's insane. So there's a lot of moving parts when you're trying to make these deals. And, and a part of me, too, is like, it's almost like the Lakers, right? When they were winning championships, Lakers called to make a move. Yo, I'm hanging up the phone. We're not dealing with them, right? The Celtics are winning too. Yo, we're not dealing with them. The Patriots in football, we're not dealing with them. That's almost feel like some teams was like, with the Warriors, let's try to hose them for all their picks, all their young assets, if they want to continue to keep for championships. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of jealousy when a team dominates a league for a decade. So, I mean, look, they're in a great spot right now. The Jimmy moves messed up. And the only thing I was skeptical about with Jimmy, not necessarily the fit, point of attack defense will be something they need to address. And that's where Kuminga comes into play. But the contract as a 35-year-old, when you look at his game logs in the last 5 regular seasons, is he going to be healthy? He's going to be available. What's going to happen when he comes up against a contract year? So those are all things that, you can't really control. But that was my biggest concern. It's like, wow, gave him new money too after what went down in Miami. But you know what? They felt confident in Jimmy that he could be on his best behavior out here. And you know what? So far, so good.
They don't get Jimmy if they don't offer him that extension, though. That's the whole thing.
Hell
right?
no.
He was money. No.
Because remember, at first he was like, "No, I don't want to go there." Yeah. And there probably wasn't extension talks at that time. And then when they said, "All right, KD's not willing to come back to the Warriors right now,"
give him that.
Then it was like, "All right, let's revisit this Jimmy thing." we have to like offer this extension and a 2-year deal. It's fine, right? Because it lines up with Steph and Draymond over the next couple of years. And, Amin and I have been talking about this, I think, since before the season started, but the Warriors had to do something, and not just something, they had to get a guy next to Steph, a solid number 2 guy.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be a superstar, but it had to be an all-star caliber guy. And you mentioned earlier, Jimmy has carried the Heat to multiple finals. Last year or 2 years ago, did it without Tyler Hero in the lineup for all the playoffs too, right?
Yep.
And now he's, whether you want to call him a number 2 or like a 1B to Steph's 1A. I mean, you got an alpha in Steph and you got a dog in Jimmy, right? And this team looks much different now. Yeah, the competition maybe hasn't been there, but it doesn't matter because wins are wins in the NBA, right?
No doubt. Blowout wins too. It's not that they're winning, they're icing and chilling in the fourth quarter, which is what good teams do. When you play a bad team, you put them away early, and they've been putting these teams away early. By the end of the third quarter, Steph Curry's like, okay, let me get that ice back on my knee real quick, and let me get the leg warmer. Let me go ahead and put the warm-up on. That's a great point, Sandeep. When no matter what again, control what you control. And they're playing good basketball because they're controlling and dictating the tempo and pace of the games right now. So I think they're in a great spot, man. And you're right. They needed an alpha. I maybe underestimated that. And I do wonder if Kuminga stayed healthy, would they have made the move with the way he was playing? I felt like a move at this point, though. And I didn't think I was okay with them standing pat. To be honest, full transparency. I was like, look, just wait until the summer. There may be a superstar available. Chalk it. But after that Orlando game a couple Mondays ago, and I saw fans walking out midway through the third quarter, and they were struggling against the worst offense in the league. And I walked in that building, and it was absolutely dead. I said, damn, they may have to do something now. They just may have to do something to keep fans interested in this product for the next 25 to 30 games.
I'll tell you what, even from the outside looking in, like as a Laker fan, it would have been a huge disappointment if the Warriors didn't make a move because the West is still open, man. Like I know OKC has been really good this year. No, Denver's obviously in the fold as always, but the West is still pretty open. There's at least 4 or 5 teams that could come out of the West. On the East, we know it's 99% probably going to be Boston, right? Maybe the Knicks will challenge them, but even them, they've been kind of playing like shit over the past week, right? The East is going to run through Boston, but yeah, Cleveland's kind of there too. We'll see what they do in the playoffs. Their regular season teams are different from playoff teams, right? But the West is open, and a move like Jimmy, it makes you wonder, which is my next question to you. Are the Dubs a championship contender, and which teams do you think pose the biggest threat to them?
Well, I think this is a dangerous basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stop short of saying championship contender only because I want to see what it looks like when Kuminga comes back. Because Kuminga, he took that fourth-year leap. He was hooping. He looked like, hey, get the ball to Kuminga. He get to the free throw line, and he defends at a high level when he's engaged. That is the X factor when it comes to SGA, Luka, LeBron, all these top Jamal Murray. You got to be able to guard these dudes. The Warriors are a dangerous, dangerous team, man. I don't know how many teams want to see Steph in a 7-game series. I mean, he could go nuclear at any given moment. And in a 7-game series, your stars are going to be good for a game, right? Like the Lakers. In the 7-game series, there's going to be a Luka game. There's going to be a LeBron game. There's going to be an Austin Reeves game. And then there's going to be the others who carry the day, right? It always happens. Now with the Warriors, there's going to be a Jimmy game. There's going to be a Steph game. Can there be a Kuminga game? And then can there be the, oh, my God, what did Moses Moody and Brendan Pajinski do? So I think they're a very, very dangerous team. Now, the teams that pose a threat, you mentioned it. The Lakers with Luka and LeBron. And Austin Reeves as a third wheel. That's another team that I think is a contender. Despite not getting the big, the Lakers are dangerous. They're a threat. Denver, you got a Jokic problem, right? And Jamal Murray, kind of like Jimmy Butler, elevates his game in the playoffs. And then you still got Aaron Gordon defending at a high level. To me, their X factors are Christian Brown and Michael Porter Jr. What are you going to get from them? Westbrook's going to give you whatever he gives you. He'll be erratic at times, but he's going to give you the energy. And then OKC, still a young team. Now, they made the second round last year and got a taste of the playoffs. But what's going to happen if they go down in the series and get drugged in the deep waters? All of a sudden, Caruso, you ask him to make threes. You ask Lou Dort to make threes. Can they hit those threes consistently? Can Chet Holmgren stay healthy? So, look, there's a lot of threats, but I think this year more so, and we're kind of getting a March Madness feel of the NBA playoffs where it's so matchup dependent. The Warriors match up with Houston in the first round. They're going to smoke them.
Houston's a fraud, man. They're not a contender. Yeah.
They're not a contender. Memphis.
Fraud. I think they're going to be competitive. They're going to be a tough out. They won't be going out in 4 or 5 games. It'll be a 6-7 series game, whoever they play. But I just don't think I don't think they got it. I don't think they're there. I know Jaren Jackson's been playing well. I know Jaw's healthy and everything, but I'm just, as a Laker fan, and even if for you guys as Warrior fans, I wouldn't be afraid of Memphis.
Yeah, nobody's afraid of Memphis. I mean, nobody's afraid of Memphis.
I think Dallas, once AD gets back in the fold, that's going to be interesting to see, right?
That's a wild card team because Kyrie's a cold-blooded killer. Yeah. And Kyrie still gives me nightmares. He is a cold dude. And we saw what he did last night against the LA Lakers. Almost willed him to a win. And then you get Clay, who could get hot at any given moment in a playoff game. And he's playing off of AD and Kyrie. That could be a problem. So Dallas is a team I'm looking at behind me. But ahead of me, it's the Lakers, it's Denver, and you got to give OKC their respect. I'll give them their respect. They've been a dominant team for 2 years straight now. So those are the three teams that I look at, and plus Dallas, if they get healthy, that could really pose a threat to the Golden State Warriors and really derail their championship dreams. But, let me see what it looks like with Kuminga. But I will say right now, they're dangerous, man. They are a dangerous, dangerous team. And I know teams around the league have said, uh-oh, there goes Steph, there goes playoff Jimmy. Draymond's going to lock in defensively as much as he drives us crazy at times. Draymond's going to take his game to another level, at least defensively, and get in somebody's head. So the West is wide open, and the Warriors can do some damage in these playoffs. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
they're an experienced team, man. And you just added Steph or Jimmy to the fold, right? Wow. So you got a dog in there, a guy has plenty of playoff experience too. Now last week on Thursday, every Thursday I go hoop with some friends, and afterwards we're talking about we just started talking NBA, right? And to me, I was like, the probably four teams that I would be worried about facing in the playoffs is the Dubs, the Nuggets, the Thunder, and then maybe the Mavs, depending on how they look, right, when AD's back in the fold.
Because real quick, the Clippers, I don't know what the hell their deal is. They may be frauds, but for whatever reason, they have the Warriors' number. And look, James Harden's on that team. We know how his playoff games go. Kawhi can't stay healthy. I think they're a bit fraudulent to me, too, the Clippers. But for whatever reason, they had the Warriors' number. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the matchup, right? The Warriors played them in a 7-game series, and the Clippers are dictating the tempo where they're slowing it down. They're giving it to Zubac. You got a Kawhi problem. They're a sneaky team. I don't know. I can't put my finger on the Clippers, man. And they got Ty Lue, one of the better coaches in the league. Look, Sandeep's club. He's shaking his head because he's a Laker fan.
No, it's not even that, man. I'm just like, knowing this Dubs team and what they're capable of, their experience, they've done it multiple times. The Clippers haven't done nothing over the past handful of years. Even if they have your number, the playoffs is still a different game.
It's a different beast. There's no doubt.
You know what I mean? Like you said, Steph locks in, Jimmy locks in, Draymond locks in. Those guys on that side, I'd probably pick the Warriors to win that series in 5.
Wow.
I don't think it goes 6 like that, man. Like, I know Kawhi is good. I know Harden's good. But outside of those two guys, Zubac presents a size problem. I think Ty Lue's one of the best coaches, too, in the NBA. Underappreciated, in my opinion. But, there's only a few teams, like I said. And I do got to say, I'm glad that you said that Austin Reeves is the third wheel for the Lakers, because my brother-in-law, Dan, who's a huge Warriors fan, was like, man, Austin Reeves ain't no big 3 on the Lakers. And this was pre-Luka too. But I'm like, dude, Reeves is a solid guy. Like
that white boy can ball, man.
He can.
That white boy can ball, dude. He's a problem. I didn't give him respect a couple years ago. He's tough. He gets to the free throw line, which slows the game down. He can hit the 3. He's a playmaker. Yeah. Him and Luka have a good rapport, man. Austin Reeves is a player, dude. You know what? You got to don't connect a play as a rookie. Like, he will get dusted off at some point and hit a couple shots.
Yeah.
Lakers are dangerous, man. Like, would it shock me if the Lakers ended up in the NBA Finals? Nope. They wouldn't. Austin Reeves is a problem. Tell your brother Austin Reeves can play, man.
You heard that, Dan, all right?
Dan, Austin Reeves is a baller, dude. He's a baller.
Yeah, on that note, obviously, we're talking about the Lakers now a little bit. How great would a Warriors-Lakers playoff series be? I feel like it's what the NBA needs. We talk about ratings. I have this conspiracy theory, man, that Luka trade was for ratings. Sandeep will agree with me for sure. It was just a grab. It was during Super Bowl week. Nobody was talking about the Super Bowl that week. Everyone was talking about how Luka end up on LA, right? But I talked about this with Sandeep too. How awesome would it be to see, possibly for the last time, Steph and LeBron play against each other in a 7-game series?
First of all, I bet you league executives are happy Luka's in LA.
Oh, Adam Silver is probably going
100%.
crazy.
Oh, they're going
100%.
crazy. Just like league
100%.
execs probably want Anthony Edwards out of Minnesota. They're waiting for him to go to a bigger market. There's no doubt. Luka with the Lakers is box office, man. I mean, the league was doing fist pumps left and right. Nobody stepped in to veto that trade. But I'm tired of seeing. I don't want to see the Dubs in the Lakers. You know, the Dubs, I think, in their history, I think the Lakers are 7-1, maybe 8-1 all time in the playoffs against the Golden State Warriors. And that doesn't even include the playing game. What was that, 2021 or 2020, whenever it was? Well, LeBron said he saw 3 rims and he hit the shot for the logo.
I'll never forget that look that Steph gave LeBron when he made that shot.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. I was seeing 3 rims after getting poked in the eye. Like, okay, dude, whatever. Go ahead, keep lying, keep capping. But I don't want to see it because the Lakers give the Warriors problems. They've won all 3 matchups this season. They go to the lane.
I think the Warriors won the first matchup, but like no one played it.
They didn't beat. No, AR hit the game-winning layup.
Yeah, AR hit the game-winning
Christmas
game.
Oh, okay, I thought they had one before. Maybe I was thinking of a preseason game.
Yeah, no. Yeah. They won all 3 matchups this season. Yeah, they have won all 3 matchups, right? The Lakers won both games at Oracle, and they blew them out at Crypto.com Arena. And we know what happens at Crypto.com Arena. The Lakers fouls. Fouls. You ain't getting no calls down there in LA. You know what I'm saying? You ain't doing that. Did you get the LA flu? I don't want to see that, man. I want somebody to bounce LeBron and them out, man. I don't need those nightmares. And then you gotta deal with Laker fans. Look, Sandeep is my guy. But this is why we only talk every few months, man. I can't do it after the NBA season.
I was waiting for this. When
football starts, man, then we can all be on the same page. I don't mess with Sandeep during the NBA, man. Dude, I'm good.
Yo, Bonta,
I don't want those nightmares.
Bonta, do you remember a couple of years ago when you and I went back and forth on Twitter a little bit about Jordan Poole?
What did I say about Jordan Poole?
So this was when Jordan Poole was like starting to peak, I think 2021, 2022.
Right?
And he was like, Bonta tweeted, he's like, man, Jordan Poole is a bona fide superstar. And I was like, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe an all-star, but bona fide superstar.
I was feeling myself. Hey, that's who we were rival to for all the wrong reasons. Hey, man.
We all been there. It's okay.
I was wearing sunscreen. I had floaties on. He was saucing people up, dude. It was good times, man. I was like, we got our superstar.
The pool party, man. The pool party.
Oh, now he's stuck out there in Washington, D.C. That's my guy, though, man. I miss JP. He's a good dude, but yeah, I needed to pump the brakes on that one, man. Just it's different. Even Jason Jones, early afternoon, he's like, yo, dude, really? Guys, I was feeling myself, man. I got caught up, man. I got caught up in Jordan Poole mania. But no, dude, listen. The Lakers present a lot of problems because LeBron James is a mismatch nightmare. And he knows against the Golden State Warriors, a smaller team. We blitz Steph. We get the ball out of his hands. We try to force Draymond to be a shooter like they did a couple years ago where they beat the Warriors in 6 games. And so can you go small against the Lakers? I don't know because Luka and LeBron can get to the free throw line and go to the rack at will. So the
Lakers play a lot of small ball too now.
These 2 teams. They got a matchup coming up on TNT on a Thursday night. Probably, I think it's maybe in March, maybe late March. I forget when that is.
It's like late March, early April. Yeah.
April? Is it April? Early April then. So we'll see that matchup, and that could be for seeding purposes, right? The Warriors could be trying to get in the top 6. The Lakers could be trying to secure a number 2 seed, maybe a number 3 seed. And so let me see what that matchup looks like because it's an entirely different Warriors team, but it's also a different Lakers team. And there is a Luka problem, which the Warriors saw a couple years ago in the Western Conference Finals, and he dragged that team to the Western Conference Finals. So that's just a matchup nightmare, man. Them 2 dudes are capable of going for 80 by themselves,
I know.
LeBron go for 40, Luka can go for 40. And all of a sudden we're talking about Kyrie and LeBron in game 5 of the 2016 NBA Finals where they're both going for 40 plus. And they're like, oh, damn, we're going to have a game 7. Oh, they may rally from a 3-1 deficit, which they did. So, hey, man, you're a better man than me to want to see Lakers and Warriors. I've seen enough of LeBron James and the Lakers. I've seen enough of LeBron James and Stephen Curry. I don't need to see that no more.
Hey, whichever one of those teams makes it to the finals, they're gonna have to go through the other team one way or another.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. We're gonna see that in the second round probably. The NBA wants it. Everybody wants it. LeBron is gonna do rating. It's gonna do monster numbers, and just in the playoffs, man. I swear to God, I think the Warriors have only beat them 1 time in a series, and it happened like in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's fun to think about. Obviously, it's fun to talk about. all my friends are Laker fans. Like all my close friends are Laker fans. Sandeep is one of them, obviously, and
Bay Area Laker fans, right?
Exactly. They're born and bred in the Bay.
Let me tell you something, Bonta. We got a lot of Punjabi guys that are Laker fans out here.
Oh, they love the Lakers, man.
I know.
They love the Lakers, man. But getting off the topic about what that playoff series would look like. Something more, that kind of like warms the soul up. Obviously, is the Andre Iguodala retirement that we had, this past weekend. I loved Andre Iguodala. He was the first guy that actually wanted to come to the Dubs during the beginning of this Steph Curry era of basketball, and it was really cool to see that moment on Sunday. And one thing that really like kind of got me choked up, and I think got Steph choked up a little bit too, is when he said this is the beginning of the Steph Curry celebration. And at that moment, it makes you realize like this guy has literally brought this franchise from what it was to what it is now. Yeah. He built that stadium. He literally built Chase Center. And I just want to get your thoughts. Obviously you've covered Andre Iguodala over the past couple of years when he came back to Golden State for 2 seasons. And before that, obviously on the radio when he was here all those years. So I just want to get your take. Like how did you feel that night when Iggy was, basically pouring his heart out to Steph?
Yeah, it was well-deserved, first and foremost, for Andre Iguodala. As you mentioned, the first to pick the Golden State Warriors, and he saw the vision. After losing to only 6 games when he was a member of the Denver Nuggets, and his appreciation for Stephen Curry and defending Stephen Curry in all walks of life, right? It is a celebration of Steph. And I felt like the All-Star game was that. Bay Area is Steph's moment. And I revisited Sandeep. I don't know if we knew each other then when I covered the All-Star game in New York. It may have been Steph's second All-Star appearance.
Yeah, I don't think we knew each other yet.
Yeah, but it may have been Steph's second All-Star appearance, and it was Clay and Steph. It was the first pair of Warrior teammates in the All-Star game since the mid-'70s. And I remember walking out, as you mentioned, the Golden State Warriors franchise has come a long way. There was a billboard of Stephen Curry in the middle of Times Square, and I was like, okay. And this is pre-championship. This is during that New York All-Star game was they ended up winning the championship like 4 months later, their first championship in 40 years. And I remember walking out, I seen like, damn, Steph. It wasn't just Steph being on the billboard of Times Square. It was a member of the Golden State Warriors in the middle of Times Square. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And you think about 10 years later, 4 championships, 2 finals MVPs, or 2 MVPs, 1 finals MVP, multiple All-Star game appearances, 11 All-NBA teams, you name it. And so that was the celebration of Stephen Curry. Maybe that was the beginning of it. Like, hey, this is Steph's home. It's the Bay Area. Oracle Arena had media day. Everybody's talking about Steph and what he did inside that building. And so, yeah, we need to appreciate what he's been doing and what he's done with this franchise, because you're right. It is the house that Steph Curry built, Chase Center. Yep. It is his baby. And he was the first one here before Dre, before Clay, before Andre Iguodala, before Steve Kerr, before Joe Lacob, for crying out loud. This has been his baby. And what he's done to this franchise, making them one of the most valuable NBA franchise over the LA Lakers and the New York Knicks. The Golden State Warriors are more valuable than the Lakers and the Knicks. Are you kidding me? We all grew up watching Warriors basketball. A lot of us watch Warriors basketball to see the other team, to see the other stars coming into the building, because we knew we had no shot at winning the game. There was no primetime games for the Golden State Warriors, no TNT games, no NBA and NBC games. And Steph changed all that. And so I try to remind myself every single night, you may see something different from Steph, whether it's a night, whether it's a 3 from the logo. The guy's going to turn 37 in March, and he's still hooping at a high level. He's still getting doubled. He's still getting pressed 94 feet. He's still getting guarded by dudes who are 6'8", 6'9", who are like, man, we're scared to hell of Steph. KD, think about those finals in 17 and 18 when KD had those wide open lanes for dunks. That's because 10 eyes were on Steph Curry. They were petrified of Steph once he crossed half court. So, what Iguodala said, it hit me hard too. And just to see that, damn, it's been 10 years since the championship, the first one. Iguodala's got his number 9 in the rafters. And then all the feels start coming, all the moments, all the championships, all the playoff series, all the great steals and the great plays. And it did get me a little choked up for a second, man. And it was well-deserved for Andre Iguodala, who's been a standout, a great human being. Because I remember watching him at the University of Arizona under Lute Olson. So I'm like, damn, I watched his entire career, and now he's done, and he's getting retired, jersey retired. And for him to say that about Stephen Curry, I know he meant every word. Yep. And it is time that we celebrate Steph, but it's time we celebrate the Kevin Durant's, the LeBron James, even Russell Westbrook, who's still playing hard to this day. they've been great players to help carry this league and make basketball fun, and they've helped change the game. But more specifically, Stephen Curry has helped change the game and giving people hope who could be 6'3", 190, and could dominate a league full of grown-ass men who are jumping out the gym. So I thought it was well said by Andre Iguodala, what he said on Sunday against Dallas after the Dallas Mavericks game, saying, hey, it's now the start of the celebration of Stephen Curry. And I think Warrior fans felt that to its core, but I think we started to do that already. I think that celebration may have started in Boston when he won that 4th championship. So if you haven't started to celebrate him now, then when? So that, I mean, it was well said by Iguodala, man. And you know what? We still got a lot more time left. Like, these guys aren't slowing down. LeBron is not slowing down. Steph's not slowing down. Kevin Durant's still a 50, 40, 90 guy averaging 27 a game, you know? So we got a few more years, but we should cherish every single moment because you never know when it's going to be over.
For sure, man. And you know, that kind of leads us into, you know, obviously like our next segment here is, you know, obviously the documentary on Netflix. We saw The Court of Gold, which was so well done. Yeah. I did not expect a documentary about basketball and specifically the Olympics to be so good. It didn't just cover the United States, but Serbia and France and the trials and tribulations that they've had to go through facing the United States, obviously, and getting to this point and having to play them. But you mentioned the celebration of Steph Curry, celebration of LeBron James, celebration of KD. I feel like this past summer, those 3 guys, the show that they put on, you know, collectively as a group, that was the celebration. And we finally got to see 3 of the best players of our generation, of our lifetime, finally come together and win the gold medal. You know, what did you think of all the emotions in that documentary?
I watched the documentary in one setting. I thought I was going to watch an episode or two. Next thing you know, I'm up till 2 a.m. watching all the episodes. Like, I can't stop watching this.
Yeah.
I got my feels a little bit. I'm getting older. Maybe it's because I'm a dad now, a girl dad, and I get a little more sensitive these days. I don't know. But I started to relive those moments and watching it in real time when they rally from 15 points down against Serbia. You know, when they're going back and forth against France and all of a sudden Wemby and company are coming down and, oh, man, it's a 4-point game. Are they going to blow this? And I remember the Serbia game. Well, LeBron grabs Steph's head, and he's shaking his head like, let's go. And KD's coming over the top. And then LeBron's breaking out a huddle. It's like, Steph, and he's cursing. It beats Steph. And I'm like, man, this is really fucking cool, man. This is dope. And to see those guys cherish those moments and play together, come together as Team USA. And look, the world's catching up. There's no doubt. The world's got some ballers. You think about the MVPs over the last 10 years, and Jokic has got 3, and Giannis has got 2. SGA's from Canada. He's probably going to get 1 soon. The world is catching up, but to see those backstories and to relive those moments, it was really dope to see that and them come together. And then bring along Devin Booker, who ended up sacrificing a lot of his scoring prowess to be a defender and just do whatever it took to win. Anthony Edwards learning from KD and Steph and LeBron and getting the game and the wisdom. And seeing Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo do their thing and the backstory of Bam Adebayo. I had no idea he grew up in a single home trailer. You know, no idea he grew up in that situation. To see Kevin Durant pour his heart out to say, man, I just appreciate playing the game that I love at a high level, and it's taking me to so many places. And I felt that, man. Think about us right now. Sports is taking us to a stratosphere that we never thought we'd get to. I never thought I'd be on television or talking on the radio about the teams that I love. So to see those guys appreciate ball in which they started at a very young age, to get them out of, you know, moments or situations that a lot of people don't make it out of, it was really cool to see. And not only that, to see, I actually started to like Dylan Brooks after seeing his little backstory with Team Canada. Rudy Gobert's backstory, Evan Fournier and Wemby, Serbia, that coach, I had no idea that coach is a legend out there. And to see the pride that he had in trying to beat the United States and getting at them saying, you know what, it was a mistake putting you on Kevin Durant.
Dude, that was cold.
It was a cold thing. Cold thing, right? The way he was talking to those guys, man. And so I thought Court of Gold, the access that they were able to get, the backstories, the way it was shot, the pride and emotion. How could you not look forward to 2028 in LA? How can you not look forward to 2032, whatever the hell the Olympics is at then? Like, France wants it. The way it ended, Wemby saying, yeah, I feel sorry for our opponents in 2028. France is coming. Canada's coming. Serbia is not going anywhere. Germany is still going to have some ballers with the Wagner brothers, right? I mean, the competition worldwide has gotten better and better and better, and it's going to push Team USA and young American stars to be better at their craft because They can't slip up anymore. There's no just rolling the balls out off the rack and going out there to play hoops thinking you're going to win by 30. Now you got to bring your A game. And it took Steph Curry to go nuclear in back-to-back games to secure a gold medal. So I thought Curtis Gold was just excellent. It was a documentary I didn't know I needed, but it was excellent. I can't wait to watch it again, man, because it covered everything, man. The backstories, like I said, the way it was shot, the angles, everything about it, man. The emotion that you saw from these superstar players that are not getting paid $1 to play for their countries, man. I thought it was very well done.
Man, yeah, it was phenomenal. Me and Aman were texting about it as we're watching the episodes, and I'm sitting there during the episode where they're rallying against Serbia, and it feels like you're back on that same day watching the game live. And even though you know what's going to happen, it feels like it's a live game. And just seeing them come back an inch, and it's like, oh, Steph hitting a 3 here, Embiid bucket, LeBron bucket, right? Whatever it was. And when they hit those last few shots and the game ended, like me and my dad are watching this together, and my dad puts his hand out to like dap me up as if the game just ended and we were just watching it live. That's how good this documentary was, man. It feels like you were back in that moment. And it was great, man, to see Steph talk about everything he experienced, because we know up until his last 2 games, he was struggling a bit, right? And people are waiting, all right, when's the Steph moment going to happen? When's the Steph moment going to happen? And not only did it happen, but it happened in the 2 biggest games of the tournament. And, the USA doesn't win gold without Steph going nuclear those last 2 games. And I think all 3 of us, and probably everyone who watched the Olympics and that gold medal game, I think we'll always remember where we were, who we were with when we watched that. I know vividly where I was and who I was with, and I still talk about it with those people to this day, but man, also seeing KD, I almost cried watching KD talk about, I was like, I had tears in my eyes coming out like a little bit. Only reason I didn't let it all out because my dad was sitting right next to me, so I just wanted to hold it together for him, but I'm a basketball player, man. I hoop too. I've played since I was a kid, and I still play. And so seeing KD, you could tell how much the game like really just means to him and how much it changed his life. And, who knows where he would be, right? Like he said, if it wasn't for basketball. And then, for Steph, watching him at the end talk about just what everything meant and just seeing them win gold. Again, like that moment almost got me like teared up too, because like Aman was saying, we grew up with these guys, right? Steph, KD, LeBron are the 3 greatest players of this generation now, and just watching them come together and win it like that, it just brought back just so many emotions, man.
Now, you know what, Sandeep and Aman, like I remember being on my couch solo because baby girl was in summer school. And when they were down 15 to Serbia late 3rd quarter, I said, oh my God, I remember texting Thread, the morning roast thread. I was like, they're about to lose this game. Oh my God, they're about to lose. I think they're going to win. And it's 10-minute quarters. And Steph said it perfectly. You have to maximize every single possession in a 10-minute quarter. There's no time for slip-ups. And they started hitting big shots. And the homeboy from Serbia who missed that wide open 3. You remember what I'm saying? I was like, wide open. Steph saved his best for last. And the raw emotion of watching those games, you get goosebumps, man. It was pride on the line. And it was Steph's first go around in the Olympics. He'd never been on Team USA. In the Olympic status, he did the FIBA or whatnot, I believe. But, to see those guys had that pride and KD having it. And then the other element, too. I know some people didn't like it, but seeing Melo courtside with his son going crazy.
Yeah.
Riding with the U.S. Olympians. And I talked to Festus, who was in the building for that Serbia game. He goes, the energy was insane. It was finals level intensity inside that building, and it's loud in that building in Paris, France. But to see Melo and Marbury and them going crazy, dapping up Steph and losing their minds, and you see Dwayne Wade in one of the shots, he's losing his mind, saying, "Oh no!" Like this, ego on the mic. It was great, man, and I thought it made the Olympics that much more interesting, not just from the basketball aspect, but track and field. Think about how locked in we were on track and field. Think about how locked in we were in on the gymnastics team, women's and men's team, swimming. Like it brought the Olympics back for me because as a kid, it was about the Olympics. 92 Barcelona, 96 Atlanta when Michael Johnson winning the 200 and the 400, going double gold in the gold cleats. Yeah. For a while, the Olympics kind of was like, kind of outdated, like horse racing, right?
Yeah. Post Michael Phelps, it was quiet for a bit.
What was that?
Yeah, I was saying post Michael Phelps, it was quiet for a bit.
Yeah, it was quiet. Yeah, it was just whether it was COVID, whether it was out of the country, like it didn't hit the same. it felt like it brought the Olympics back. So I think a lot more people are anticipating 2028, and it's going to lead with basketball. It's going to lead with track and field, gymnastics, and swimming. But that quarter goal, Doc, man, I didn't know they were doing a documentary to get that access. Wow, like the French team going back to a place that they grew up playing at. That was cool. It's like, man, they're going back home. This is where they learned to play basketball. This is how they learned the fundamentals. And so that was really cool to see.
That line from KD where he was like, yeah, that chemistry going to help you guard Steph, though?
Yeah,
that was a bar, man. That was a bar.
Great. That was a bar. That was a bar.
KD was like, y'all trash talking now? Okay, just play the game. Let's see. So now there's some spiciness between these countries, which is great.
Yeah, I love it, man.
And it was really good. One guy that didn't play in the Olympics, obviously, is Draymond Green. And I think me and Sandeep know this pretty well already. And a lot of the roasters know this. And a lot of the people probably on the call know this. But you and Draymond, man, last year, during the post-game interview, what happened there? What was going on?
Oh, the little riff you guys had.
Yeah. It's
I watched that video yesterday because I was like, man, what happened here? And I was like, Draymond gets out of line, and I was like, don't be coming at Bonta like that.
Yeah.
Bygones will be bygones. There's a respect there between Draymond and I. There's respect there, and and a lot of people were assuming that it was about. I'll say this without really going deep into it. It wasn't about basketball. It's about something completely different.
Yeah.
And the best thing about that was, and I tell young journalists, you see a lot of sports talk radio hosts or television anchors. They would have taken that moment, added on to it.
Mm-hmm.
It kept going.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm not in it for back and forth with players. I'm not in it to go viral because, hey, man, I dunked on this player. I pissed this player off. Ha ha, look at me. I'm in it because I love the game. Yeah. I love watching high-level athletes, basketball. That was my childhood. Basketball, football, baseball. And so what I'm most proud about is that situation never escalated.
Yep.
Talked about it the next day on the roast.
Yes.
And that was that. And you never heard anything about it.
Nope.
Nothing. And so for young journalists, it's not about, hey, let's, I'll use Clay Travis, for example. What if he would have done something? Oh, Draymond, this and that. He would have been tweeting nonstop and this and that. And
he'd be talking about it right now. He'd be talking about it right now still.
Exactly. I thought in that moment, we handled it. It got a little awkward. Got the question out. He answered the question, even though it was a short answer.
He said like one word.
Yeah, it's always fun game. Always fun game. Yeah, got the question in. Always fun game. Kept it moving. Took his headset off. And I thought, damn, what I thought would happen was, oh, shit, man, the Warriors going to be pissed at me. What's going to happen? I got to call that night and say, hey, don't lose no sleep over this. Would you like Ryan Adams on the show? Now, we couldn't get Ryan Adams the next day because the Warriors were stuck on our tarmac trying to get to Toronto. And it never escalated. Players on that team, I still see all those guys respect me. We say what's up to each other. It's all love.
That's good.
They watch the shows. I just talked to Joe Lacob All-Star break. We don't even bring that up. He's been, dude, Bonta, what's up, man? What's going on? We're first name basis. We just interviewed Mike Dunleavy. That's going to get released next week. Monty Poole and I. Mm-hmm. All love. So I think for a young journalist, with the way you want to handle that situation, I think it's the way I handle that situation. Yeah. Make sure you don't add gasoline to the fire. Because all of a sudden, what does it look like? I'm doing a pregame show and I'm funking one of the biggest players on this team in franchise history. And it continues to go on and makes things awkward. And all of a sudden, you know what? I'm replaceable. What is NBC going to do? We're going to risk our partnership with the Golden State Warriors to back this television? No, we can find another television host. We'll be fine. But we can't risk our partnership with a franchise. And so I think that, to me, I'm most proud of is that it never escalated to anything. I never tweeted about it. I let people have their fun with it and assume what was ever happening. And I saw all these clips like, oh, man, this is why he's mad at him. Because I was disappointed in him getting suspended. Had nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, it was valid.
Yeah,
it was valid.
It was definitely valid.
And
before the season, we did a commercial together. I was like, what do you mean by most important season? And he pointed at his ring. I got to get that ring, big dog. I got to get number 5. So that's why I was disappointed because the Warriors last year, what did they win? 46 games?
Yeah.
46 games.
46.
The year before they won 44 and was a 6 seed. I won 46 games last year. And I know for sure if Draymond doesn't miss 17 games, what was it, 27, I think. He missed 27 games.
It was closer to like 22, 23 games, something like that, yeah.
They were 13 to 14 in those games, and he missed.
They'd win 50.
They win 50. Mm-hmm. So that's my biggest disappointment because I know how important he is to that roster. And so I knew it wasn't, once I found out it wasn't really about that, it was about something else. I was like, all right, it's cool. We'll have that conversation and let bygones be bygones. So I think as a young journalist, and I'll teach this, if I ever get a day to teach a class or talk to young broadcasters, and they always ask me because, people, it's on their minds. They're like, what happened with Draymond? So people can't wait to talk about that, right? I can see it in their eyes. It never escalated to anything. And I think I'm most proud of that because you see a lot of those situations go awry and it can just go all the way left. And it didn't. Nobody even thinks about it anymore when I walk around the arena. It's all love to this day. So
it's because of how you handled it, man. It
was a lesson.
You could have pulled a Stephen A and just kept shit talking and kept it going, and then you go viral for the wrong reasons, like you said.
I don't win. I don't win in that situation. I'm trying to move up. I'm trying to do things, and I want to continue to do this to the day I'm die. Who doesn't want to get paid by just talking sports? Yeah. I don't want to go back to working at UPS or Pete's Coffee or a Costco warehouse. Shout out to everybody who works there and build careers over there, and you can retire from there. I don't want to go back to that life. I've done that life. I like this life right here. So to be able to do that and just kind of diffuse the situation and move it forward to where that relationship with the Warriors is still as strong as ever. I'm proud of that. That it didn't escalate to something bigger than that. So it was definitely a lesson. Kind of looking at myself, it's like, okay, if that happened, there's a level of respect from Draymond Green. Yep. And it also proved to other people that, hey, players do listen to what you say. Players do watch what you say. They want to know. They read the newspaper. They read, I tell you guys a quick story. Javi Lopez, who fills in on the Giants broadcast back in 2016, I went to the clubhouse and I was talking to Giants players about the trade deadline, what it's like to have your name rumored. And they're saying, man, it's tough. Your family's on pins and needles and you got to get up and move. You got to switch schools. And people don't understand how difficult that could be on the wives of these players. Like, yeah, sure, they make millions of dollars, but it's still a process. And then your kids who may have made a bunch of friends at this high school, damn, we got to go all the way out here and I got to meet new friends. Now it's tough on them. And after the interview, Javi was like, hey, man, I enjoy what you do on the radio, man. I was working with Marty Larry at the time in KNBR. It's like, I enjoy what you're doing, man. I say, and my first thing was like, I got to watch what I say, man. I got to make sure I don't say. He goes, no. Peep this. As long as you don't make it personal, it's all good. We may not agree with some of your criticisms, but as long as it's constructive and you're not taking personal shots, it's all good. And so then I was like, oh, shit, not only do players listen, okay, there's a way you can go about, like, for example, I'll be like, I'm not a big fan of Steve Kerr's lineup combinations last night. Still think he's a great coach. And it's the way you say it and your tone. Yeah. And that you got to have the right tone. You can't just be, oh, man, Steve Kerr's a bum and he's this and he's no. Because they do listen. They're human. Just like we'll probably read comments off of this podcast. We'll read something when you get a job promotion. You're like, all right, what are people saying about it? Which I've been able to kind of alleviate out of my life. It's like, you can't really worry about people you don't know what they're saying about you because you'll drive yourself crazy. Tunnel vision, right? So from that aspect, it was like, all right, it was a lesson. Let me watch what I say. Let me be mindful of some of the things. And let's make sure that I keep doing what I do and stay true to who I am. So that whole situation, it's a moment in time. Like I had the Russell Westbrook situation way back when. Sam Deep probably remembers.
Oh, I remember that one. That one was bad. But that was
I remember that one. I do remember that one too. It was all over YouTube, man.
But even then, every time there's a blooper reel of players getting snapped with media reports, that one pops up and somebody tags me. What did
you ask him again?
Tagging me. I'll live through it. All right.
What did you ask him again? I forgot.
Something I forget, man. It was
because it wasn't even a bad question. Russ is just a fucking hothead,
Yeah, but I like Russ though. I like Russ, man. I started to like him even more after that. Quite frankly, So it happens, man. In the heat of the battle, but as long as there's respect and you keep it moving, man. And I still have my job. I actually got promoted at this job, so thankfully it didn't cost me anything, man. But it was definitely one of those things you look back at. It's like, damn, that really happened. Whoa.
Yeah, no.
To be honest, I thought maybe it would happen before that because we had Draymond and trades all the time, man. Because of some of the things that have happened. So it was definitely a moment in time. That's for sure.
Hey,
No,
aside from
handled it with
Draymond,
class, bro.
yeah, aside from Draymond, who's your favorite guy to interview on the roster? Question from Dan.
Wow, great question. Steph's always fun, right? Because he's going to give you a great answer. And Steph's so damn cool. Like Steph, what you see on television. And I like talking to pods. I like talking to JK. JK's my guy. I love JK. I love Moses Moody. Great. Gary Payton II. He always gives us a great soundbite, right? He's fun. But Steph, the one thing about Steph, when you see a worldwide superstar like that, because he was the one guy, because before I did all this, I was working at Cobb's Comedy Club while going to school. And so you see top-end comedians. And so I would peep how top-end comedians would interact with people. And I was like, I was starting to build my resume in high school, sports journalism, and I'm covering high school. But I was thinking big, and I was thinking, okay, if I do get a chance to cover the NBA, NFL, and MLB, these guys are in that same stratosphere, Dave Chappelle's, stratosphere, I should say, Dave Chappelle's, John Oliver's, whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, I think I know how to do this. But Steph was the one guy where when I knew he knew my name, what's up, Bonta? And I'm like, oh my God, Steph knows my name. I got a little, it's like, I was young in my career. I was like, oh my God, it's Steph.
Starstruck.
You're like, damn, Steph knows my name. And so Steph is so cool. Like, there's a moment last year where he's like, yo, don't you got to get up in the morning? It was after he left the interview room. Don't you got to get up in the morning? He goes, oh, wait, tomorrow's Sunday. This motherfucker knows my radio schedule? Let me tell you something real quick. Media day this year, this past year, media day. I see Steph. He stops what he's doing to dap me up, right? He goes, hey, man, I ran into your boy 2 weeks ago named Wet, blah, 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 blah. What the hell are you talking about? Then I said something like, man, you got to stop listening to the show. So I'd be like, no. I ran into your boy 2 weeks. And literally this guy remembered that he ran into one of my friends 2 weeks ago prior to when I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry's got all kind of things happening. He's got 4 kids, right? Lovely wife in Aisha. Worldwide superstar. How the hell does he remember that one of my boys, hey, yo, let Bonta know I said what's up? What?
That's crazy, yeah.
That's who Steph is, though. So that's why he'll always be one of my favorites because he's locked in on everything. But it's really, this team's always, the Warriors always have a good cast of characters. Draymond's fun to interview because you never know what you're going to get, right? But Steph has by far been my favorite. Clay was up there, too. Clay was always fun because you never know what you got from him. But Steph is definitely as cool as they come, man.
Yeah, I haven't gone viral like you have, but the one moment I spoke to Draymond, this was during the 2019 finals. So it was like one of the practice days, right? And I'm in the little media scrum, and I think there was some talk about just Iguodala, like if he's a future Hall of Famer or not at that time. And I asked Draymond, I'm like, hey, there's fans kind of just debating this, like whether Iggy's a Hall of Famer or not. Like, what do you think? And Draymond, he's like something like, Matt, of course, like, what do you think? I acting as if I was the one saying he's not a Hall of Famer,
right?
And he's like, man, it's one of the best defensive players, multiple time champion, this and that. Like, fans can go debate that shit somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. I'm all right, Draymond, chill. I didn't say that. It wasn't me, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it gets spicy there, man. It can get spicy in the battlefield, man. Whether it's Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Draymond, we all going to got one day. It's going to happen to everybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
As a journalist, how do you handle that situation? I think that's the one thing with that situation last season. People were watching to see how I would respond. All right, who's Bonta? How's he going to act now?
Yeah.
Is he going to change? Is he going to be who he's going to like? So they're always going to be watching how you respond. It's how you respond to the adversity more so than what you do during the adversity, right? When you're in the middle of it and you're in the battlefield, but how you respond to it.
Yep.
Do you keep your integrity? Do you go out of your way to rip a guy? Do you praise a guy? There was a caller, one of my last months of the morning roast named Oscar and Stockton. I'll never forget Oscar and Stockton. Shasty was going in on Draymond and I was like, look, man, this guy's still a good defender, man. Like, that's not going to skew me from saying that he's not a baller on the defensive end of the floor. And I think when offensively, when he's aggressive, they're a different team. I think he can unlock so many things. So when Draymond, when I was like, look, man, he could still do all these things. Like, some people are like, man, he's a 15-minute per game player. It's like, dude, stop. Like, chill, dude. Like, relax. Yeah. He's a 30-minute player. He's going to play deep into the playoffs, and you need his IQ, and he's a 4-time champ. I ain't no dummy. The guy's a savant. His basketball IQ is off the charts. Now, he drives us crazy sometimes, but that's who he is. And Oscar Stockton said, You know, Bonta, I got a lot of respect for you. Despite what happened last season, you still are able to maintain your professionalism and tell it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so there you go. You know, like that meant a lot to me because it's like, we know that situation exists, but is that gonna stop you from just telling the truth? Am I gonna go out of my way and say, oh man, look at Draymond again. Oh, here we go. Because people are gonna know that's out of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, that was done. Once that night happened, you kind of lose sleep. You're like, damn, your phone's buzzing. Like in real time, I start seeing tweets just popping up on my laptop. And I'm like, oh boy, I couldn't go to sleep. Calls left and right. The phone's ringing for 36 hours. I'm hearing from people I haven't heard from in 5 years, right? You're getting tagged. And that was actually when I turned the tags off. It's like, look, I'm going to be tagged in every single video. I know what's going on. I lived it, right? I lived it. So I don't need you to tag me in all these videos, but that meant a lot. It was like, look, I can still break down the game and tell it like it is. And like, is a dude still a baller? Yeah, he is. He drives us all crazy, like he does, textuals and whether he's fiery or yelling at teammates or tell a buddy, hey man, wake the fuck up or sit the fuck down, on the court. You're like, damn, Dre, what's going on? But he's locked in defensively and he's scoring offensively. This Warriors team is different. And I'm not going to stop telling the truth because of a situation that happened last season, whether it's Draymond, Steph, Clay, could have been whoever. It's not going to skew me from being a professional. So it was a lesson learned. But, we all grow from it and everything's good.
That's classy, bro. Super, super classy answer. I love it. And I still remember like when you talked about it on the roast the day after and the way you handle that situation, like props to you, bro. Like, it's really admirable for sure, and it's a testament to who you are as a person, obviously, and the position that you're in now. So more power to you, brother. Yeah,
I was shocked at the callers the next day. 90% of the callers like, yo, Bonta, we back you, man. You didn't say nothing wrong, and da. I was shocked because usually fans stick with the player no matter what, and it's the media is this and the media is that, media's idiots. Now you get your people on Twitter or whatnot, and whatever, that's a cesspool. We know that, but I was shocked at the callers. 90% of the callers are like, yo, you did nothing wrong, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I was like, damn, okay, cool. I was able to bounce back from that one because obviously you get a little shook, like, damn, oh boy, there goes that aspect of my career, man. Let me just,
especially when it's Draymond, right? Because Draymond's so outspoken, and when it's like, if something like that happens with Steph, it probably like Steph's cool, he's chill, he probably plays it off in a way where it's like it's fine, but Draymond. Draymond's making headlines because of who he is,
Right.
It must have been scary.
It was, you're starting to listen to the podcast like, he's going to mention this. Oh, shit. What's going to happen here? Never made the podcast. So, let bygones be bygones. And we
yes, sir.
Speaking of podcasts real quick, before we get out of here, I was listening to Draymond's podcast today because he had Kevin Durant on. Mm-hmm. And Baron Davis asked him, he's like, hey, are you going to end your career in Phoenix? And KD had this to say. He said, I'm going to end my career on my terms. So there might be some drama this offseason with KD. And the question is not, is he going to get traded? I think it's where is he going to get traded? Because 1 year left on his contract. I mean, do you think it's possible? Can they make it happen, like with the money to get the dub, like Dubs getting back? Or do you think he goes elsewhere?
I really believe him when he said he had no desire to come back here as of now. Because there was a lot of trauma with that situation. Look, Bob Myers said it perfectly. KD took all the hits when he signed with the Golden State Warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He took all the heat. He got called a punk for making the weakest move in NBA history, blah, blah, blah. And then you fast forward to 2019. And I remember in real time, if you go back and look at his game log, fellas, that 2019 postseason, he was having a 94 Dirk, an 86 Larry Bird, 87 Magic, you name it, Michael Jordan season in the postseason when he won 6 championships in 8 years, a Dirk 2011. He was having one of those postseason runs. I swear to God, 45, 50, 35, 50. I mean, the game, it looks stupid if you look at his box score from that 2019 postseason. And I remember that whole season where everybody was all, oh, where's KD's going to leave us, man? How come he didn't sign a deal? And and everybody kind of turned on KD, the fan base a little, not all the fan base, but a lot of people in the media. Remember he had the back and forth with Ethan Sherwood Strauss and Tim Kawakami. And it's like, who are you? I don't need to talk to y'all. Grow up, blah, blah, blah. And then when he got hurt on a jumper. where Game 5 against the Rockets, they had blown the 20. People forget the Warriors blown like a 20-point lead that game. And the Rockets came all the way back, and the crowd's getting restless. You know when they get that restless cheer. All right, come on, guys, come on. And KD gets the ball at the elbow. Boom, boom. 15-footer, nothing but net. And I'm like, and I remember sitting in the old Oracle Arena section one night. I'm like, oh my God, we're watching history. Like, we're basketball savants. You know what I mean? Kobe's best postseason. We're like, we're watching that. Like, there's teams that win championships. And then there's a guy who elevates his game on the championship team. And he's like in God mode, right? Like Dirk was in God mode.
Mm-hmm.
Hakeem was in God mode. KD was in God mode. And he makes a jumper and starts limping off the court. And the Warriors able to win that game. They woke up in the fourth quarter. Steph had a big fourth quarter. And I saw tweets, and I remember taking calls the next day. And people were like, well, we got back to old Warriors basketball now. We got back to Warriors basketball. And I thought it was so damn disrespectful to Kevin Durant and the time that he put in to be the best basketball player he could be and not understand that KD, I don't believe the Warriors won the championship in 2017 without Kevin Durant. That Cleveland team is stacked, right? You come back with Harrison Barnes, you're losing in 5 or 6 to LeBron James and the Cavaliers. I don't believe you win those. And the disrespect that he was receiving when he chose us, he chose the Warriors. It was nasty. And so I think he got PTSD from that. I mean, it may not be the case. It's some truth to saying, hey, I don't want to pack up and leave. I want to see this thing through with Phoenix. But I don't think he's coming back, man. I truly believe that he doesn't have the desire to come back with the Golden State Warriors. And I understand why he wouldn't. Now, he mentioned what he mentioned, and who knows what could happen in the offseason. He loves playing with Steph. But would he love playing with Anthony Edwards in Minnesota? Would he love to play with Cade Cunningham in Detroit? Would he go down to Miami with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero? Like, he's got options. So I think that ship is sailed, and it was a good try. Maybe Houston with the young core that they have, but I truly believe he doesn't have a desire to come back here and play with the Warriors. I could be wrong, but
I think there's a slight chance still. I mean,
there's a chance. There's always a chance.
There is.
There's always a chance.
He said that, his decision to not wanting to come back to the Warriors had nothing to do with his time there. Now, was he just saying that or not? I don't know. I mean, KD seems like the type of guy that whatever he says, he truly means it. He's not the type to be like, I feel like just throwing a BS out there for no reason. So, and the fact that he's still tight with Draymond, right? They were able to squash like whatever happened. Still talking to him on his podcast. We know how he feels about Steph, and he got to play with Steph again and coach play under Steve Kerr and Team USA. So you never know, man. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just, can they make it work in terms of the money and what kind of contracts and this and that, right? Because having 3 max guys on the team is kind of tough, but you never know. I think it's definitely on the table still, Yep.
No, it's a chance, man. You never know with Kevin Durant. And obviously the Warriors would have to shift some things. Can they keep Butler, Draymond, Curry? They didn't bring in Kevin Durant. How much tax would they have to pay? Second apron, will that freeze some picks? It's a little more complicated now with the new CBA, but I think there's a slight chance. My gut just tells me if it didn't happen then,
it's not going to happen now.
It's not going to happen now.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's been a long time, so we're gonna go ahead and let you get out of here. No,
how long we do, man? Hey, Sandy, man, you give me what's the pizza company again? Big Boy Pizza. What was it?
Boss Man Pizza.
Boss Man.
You should be some Boss Man Pizza. Yeah, man.
I'm gonna get you some pizza.
Here.
I'm gonna grab you some Henny from Gateway Food and Liquor too.
No, Henny. I'm done, man.
How about a nice cab?
Dude, I got Hennessy in my cabinet that I haven't touched in 3 years, man. I don't know what it is. I don't drink much, man. I just don't. Yeah. I don't know, man. I like water. I like H2O and coffee. I'm gonna get you a nice morning roast. How about that? There you go. Nice morning roast. There it is. There it is, man. No, I appreciate
big face coffee, bro. Big face coffee.
Big face coffee. There you go, Jimmy Butler. Coming to a corner store near you, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. I know you got a lot going on with work, with family, personal life. So, the fact that you took time out of your day, man, to come join the program is truly much appreciated, man.
Thanks, man. You guys keep doing your thing, man. Love you guys and what you do, man. And I'm always here. Like, that's the one thing that, that I take pride in. You want to pay it forward, right? If there was somebody that gave me a shot. There was somebody that extended their arm out to me to jumpstart my career. And I think it's flattering. I've always found it flattering, and it gets my juices flowing when somebody reaches out and says, yo, I want to talk to you. Can you jump on my podcast, or can you give me some advice? Can I talk to you for 30 minutes? And, there's a lot of people who don't do that because they fear that that person may take their job one day, right? There's a lot of insecurities with doing that. I've always taken pride in like, hey, man, if a young fella wants to hit me up, I got some time. We'll carve out some time to chop some game up and kind of give you some advice to try to steer you in the right direction, because that's what it's all about, man. Paying it forward to the next generation, to the next guys who are trying to podcast, because I was once a podcaster. I was once starting from the bottom, making $20 an article, covering high school sports. And those are my favorite days of my life, right? It was so fun doing it because you're not thinking about the money. You're doing it for the love of it. So whenever I can help out, and Sandeep, now that you're a roaster, you're good with me. I may put you above Sandeep right now because he's a Laker fan, and we're about to do battle soon. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. We gonna do it. We gonna do it.
So you're good in my hood. But no, seriously, Sandeep, man, I always love what you do, man. And we go back so far. And the fact that you're still being persistent and trying to carve out a lane in this tough industry. Let's face it, man. Sports is tough to crack into. Tough to crack in and get a shot. But when you stay persistent and you just stay in there, you hang in there, there's going to be a spot. There's going to be a break that you get. And when you get that break, you just got to take advantage of it. But when you stay consistent, you keep putting stuff out there, man, and anything I can do to help you young fellas, man, in the future, I'm always here.
Thanks, man.
No, we appreciate that, man. And, you got a lot of fans here in the comments too. Everyone said how much of they enjoy your shows. They said you're a good guy, and they, enjoy listening to whatever platform you're on. So, we definitely don't take it for granted, man. Everyone got a lot of respect for you over here in San Jose, man. So thank you so much.
Love the 408, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, Bonta, we'll catch you next time, man. Take care.
Good stuff, man. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Bonta.